Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week, we are finishing Fraggle Rock, the animated series, with 7 episodes featuring these segments that I'm going to read all of them out to you now.
Oh, boy.
Ambassador Gorg, Homebody Matt, The Great Fraggle Freeze, Laundry Never Lies, What Boobers Knows, Moki's Flood of Creativity, What the Doozers Did, Red's Drippy Dilemma, Fraggle Babble, The Radish Fairy, The Funniest Joke in the Universe, Fraggle Fool's Day, and Wembley's Trip to Outer Space. We also checked out what I thought was going to be some Uncle Traveling Matt wraparound.
That's how you sold it to me last week, I think.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was. I hadn't watched it. But basically, we had talked about last time for this show on Saturday mornings, they had Uncle Traveling Matt record some wraparounds talking about Fraggle Rock. But what we actually saw was about 2 seconds of Uncle Traveling Matt talking about Fraggle Rock, and then 3 minutes of him talking about other Saturday morning cartoons that he was throwing to.
Like Foofer. You know Foofer, right?
The new wrtiers. Well, while we're talking about these, just remember that we're venturing into December of 1987 this time, but that's only because we're rushing through Fraggle Rock, the animated series, in 2 episodes, and then we're going to go back and redo the fall and winter of 1987 properly over our next several episodes. So if there's anything that you hear us talking about this time that you're like, well, why did you skip?
Hey, wait a minute.
Yeah. Why'd you skip that very important thing that happened in November? Well, we didn't. Well, we did, but we're going back.
Yeah.
So don't worry. We will spend plenty of time with the Muppet Babies and with other more important things.
And that's kind of it, actually.
There's some other stuff. There's Dolly Parton. There's a Wall Street and the Economy thing that the Muppets appear on.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and there's, Macy's Thanksgiving Day parades, the Television Academy Hall of Fame.
Of course.
All culminating at the end of 1987 with A Muppet Family Christmas. But today, we're not here to talk about the highest highs of Muppet Family Christmas.
Oh, no.
We're here to talk about the lower lows, I would say. How about we jump in and I ask, what did we watch this week?
First, we watched Ambassador Gorg. Pa is making Junior go through some war drills to face their heretofore unseen enemies, but Junior suggests that it might be better to invite their enemies to dinner to settle their differences instead of fight them. Ma thinks that's a good idea, so they send Junior off with an invitation to dinner to deliver to their neighbors. Junior tries to make the journey, but can't quite find the courage to go through with it, so he wads up the note and throws it in the Fraggle hole. The Fraggles find it, and they read it, and they assume that they are the ones who are invited to dinner. So the Fraggles go up, and they see the lavish spread that the Gorgs have prepared, and they eat it. While the Gorgs are inside finishing up, Ma and Pa come out and they think that their neighbors rudely snuck to the table and ate the food and then left. But Junior fesses up that he didn't deliver the letter in the first place, which causes Pa to think that the neighbors snuck to the table, ate the food, and left uninvited. And then he goes to prepare for war. And that's the end of the episode as far as I can remember. Next, Homebody Matt. Uncle Matt returns home for a little vacation from his travels in outer space, but he's hit on the head while running away from Sprocket, which causes him to forget that he's an explorer and declares that home is the best place to be and he'll never explore again. This disappoints Gobo, who forces Matt out into the caves to do some exploring to try to get him out of his funk. It goes poorly, and Matt says that he's never leaving his cave again, and Gobo decides that he needs to be the new explorer of outer space and goes out, only to be immediately attacked by Sprocket. Then Gobo's friends go and tell Matt what's happening, and he rushes out to save Gobo, only to be hit on the head again, restoring his adventurer personality. Then we watch the Great Fraggle Freeze, the Fraggle Pool. We learn a lot about the Fraggle Pool in this episode, or in this set of episodes. The Fraggle Pool is a central part of the ecosystem of the underground world of Fraggle Rock, as it provides water to the Doozers and the Fraggles and the Gorgs. So whenever the Gorgs use the well to pump water out of the pool, the Fraggles then call out the pipe bangers, who bang on the pipes until Doc comes and he turns a handle on his pipes upstairs, which refills the pool with nice warm water from his boiler, I think. Is that what it is? His water heater, something like that.
It's hot water heater, yeah.
One day, though, Doc blows a fuse and the water starts coming into the Fraggle Pool cold, which has the side effect of making the whole of Fraggle Rock cold. So the Fraggles go to the trash heap, who sends Gobo out on a quest through a maze to flip a switch, to reset the breaker, to turn back on the water heater. And a bunch of other stuff happens in this episode too, but it doesn't really matter. Gobo does all that and everything's fine. Next, laundry never lies. Boober can tell everything that's recently happened to a Fraggle just by handling their dirty laundry. When Gobo brings him a sweater of Red's that he found floating in the river, Boober sniffs it and declares that Red has met a horrible misfortune at the hands of several beasts and hazards in the wild caves of Fraggle Rock. In reality, she just lost her sweater accidentally. I think that's what happens. What happens to it? Does it just fly off her?
No, it's not even on her. It's in her extra sweater because Moki and Red are out for a hike, and her backpack rips open or something, and it flies out. And Moki's like, "Oh no!" And Red's like, "I got like 30 of those."
Yeah, when Red is notably naked in one of these episodes, and I was trying to think, is this the one that she's naked in? No.
Nope.
Her sweater just flies out of her backpack. So she lost it accidentally on a hike that she's on with Moki, and she's perfectly safe at home. Gobo and Boober convince themselves, though, that they need to go out into the caves and save Red. So they retrace her tracks according to what Boober has gleaned from the sweater, and they get in tons of peril themselves. All the bad things happen to them that happened to the sweater, and then they get to a cave where they find a poison cackler, and they decide that Red is definitely dead. So they go and tell Moki, who points out that Red is just napping on her hammock. And everyone gets really mad at Boober for some reason. Gobo just starts screaming at Boober, even though it took two to get him into the situation, I think. What Boobers knows. The Fraggles head to Sweetwater Lake to gather Sweetwater, a tasty liquid that Boober loves to bake with. When they get there, however, the lake is dried up and they all panic. Meanwhile, the Gorgs are harvesting what are they called? Yum berries? Yawn berries?
Yeah.
Yum berries. So they're harvesting yum berries from their yumberry bushes to make yumberry juice, which is an event that only happens, I think, like once a generation for Gorgs, that these yum berries grow in. And yumberry juice is a tasty drink that no Gorg has ever actually gotten to try because they have to age it. And while it's aging in its cask in the cellar, it always ends up getting stolen by an unseen thief. So Junior is told to guard the yumberry juice. Period. Back in the rock, the world's oldest Fraggle consults the Encyclopedia Fraglica. Is that what it's called? Something like that.
Encyclopedia Fraglia, I think is what it is.
Yeah, and he tells...
They use the same phrase in the puppet version as well.
Right.
So there's some consistency here.
Yeah. And he tells the Fraggles that they have to go on a quest to a dark and scary cave where the Sweetwater is being held back by like a blockage that they have to get rid of. Why are you shaking your head? Because you're mad?
This was my least favorite, I think, of all of them.
Yeah.
Just because they don't even like try to make it clever or a
They're
surprise.
Just like the brown blockage or whatever.
They like show a drawing and it looks like Wembley pulling a cork out of a big barrel. And it's like, "Ooh, you must travel to the cave." And it's like, "Oh, okay." So clearly these two things are just the same thing. It's drama, no mystery.
Yeah, this is a big point I'm going to talk about later. But yeah, and whenever they go on a journey, it's always like they take like 2 steps away from where they are, and they're just there. Anyway,
well, and every time an episode is like almost getting interesting, then you realize it's like, oh, that's the end.
That's over.
It's like, oh, we've reached the 10-minute mark, and so they're like, and then it all worked out.
Yep. Aren't you glad we spent so much time with the Gorgs this episode? Anyway, they go to the cave, which turns out to be the Gorg cellar, and they wake up Junior. And in the dark and confusion, Junior kicks open the barrel of juice, which rushes back into Sweetwater Lake, and the circle of life continues. Was Sweetwater the same thing that was coming out of the? Was that what they called it, or was that a different thing? The geyser.
There was a couple of Sweetwater references in Fraggle Rock. I don't know that it was the Whoopee Water.
Oh, Whoopee Water. You're right.
I
They
think those
have
were
talked
different
about Sweetwater
waters.
before, though. I feel like that was a familiar phrase to me.
Yes. There's and at one point they're swimming in Sweetwater, I think.
Yes, that sounds right.
But I think it comes up a couple times on Fraggle Rock.
Okay. Right. So again, consistent. You can't fault this show for anything. Moki's flood of creativity. As we've established, the Fraggles bang the pipes to get more water into the Fraggle pool. So this happens, and as they're leaving, the pipe bangers tell everybody that the next pipe banging will be a milestone number of pipe bangings. So it'll also be the subject of a whole ceremony. Moki hears this and decides to write a poem for the ceremony, but she goes way overboard and writes one that takes several hours seemingly to perform. The ceremony begins, and she reads her poem, during which the pipe bangers are just kind of idly banging on the pipes the whole time. Doc's upstairs. He's totally flipping out. He keeps turning things and messing with his hot water heater, which causes more and more water to rush in and flood Fraggle Rock. At first, the Fraggles think it's very fun because Fraggles do love to swim, but they realize that they don't really have anywhere to live if their cave is flooded. So Moki takes responsibility, thinking that her poem must have had some effect that made this happen, and starts reading it backwards, hoping that that will reverse things. Meanwhile, the flood is spilled over into the Gorg garden, threatening to drown their radish crop. So the Gorgs just kind of keep pumping the well until the water goes down, which the Fraggles don't know about, obviously, and they think that Moki's plan worked. And she apologizes for messing up everyone's lives with her art. Then, very confusingly, to me at least, next episode, What the Doozers Did, it shows what the Doozers did during the flood. So Cotterpin has been designing boats for fun, but it turns out that designing boats is against the Doozer rules, so she gets in trouble. However, then the caves start to flood from the last episode's events, so all the Doozers come crawling back to Cotterpin for help, except the architect, who remains die-hard anti-boat for life. The waters start to rise, the boats are built, and the Doozers depart on their boats, leaving the architect, who just immediately, within milliseconds, starts drowning, which I thought was very funny. As he's drowning, Wembley just plucks him from the water and places him on the boat, which was something we saw happen in the first episode. Wembley's completely unaware of the Doozer drama that he has inserted himself into, but the architect is thankful to Wembley. He apologizes to Cotterpin, and he admits that dreaming up new things is the job of an architect, and Cotterpin should never stop dreaming up new things. Next, Red's drippy dilemma. Not as gross as it sounds, it turns out. Red's planning a big water stunt extravaganza, but during practice, she breaks one of the pipes that brings water to the pool, and it starts to slowly drip into the water below it. It's Red's job to perform upkeep on the pool and the pipes, but she's too busy preparing for the stunt show, so she puts off fixing the drip. But the drip it's just going all day and all night, and it's driving everybody nuts. And it gets faster and faster, and on the day of the big show, the rhythm of the dripping throws everybody off and messes up the stunts. And then Red fixes the pipe. And then that's the end of the episode. This is one for me that really, like what you just said, was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then she puts the goo over the pipe, and then it's like, that's the end. We fixed the pipe. It's like, that's all you had to do to fix the pipe.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the episodes that comes closest to teaching a lesson, because these episodes don't ever try to teach lessons, unlike the other show. And I think this one is trying to say something about procrastination.
Right. And this one could have been a good full-length episode, I think. But
yes. But when you find out that all it took for her to solve this problem was a 1 second swipe of some goop on a pipe, you're like, oh, I don't feel anything bad for you, Red, because you could have solved this problem in less time than it took you to say, I can't right now.
Or honestly, even though it wasn't their job, somebody else could have done it. They could have just put the goop on the pipe.
Sam, that's the kind of, you know, that's the kind of thinking that gets people into these pipe drip problems in the
I
first place.
suppose, but she's
Oh,
very
somebody else will
busy.
probably take care of it.
She's very busy. Somebody could have done her a solid. She's planning a big event for everybody.
I
Anyway.
think she's the only one who really cares about that event in the first place.
She does seem like the only one who really cares about diving.
Yeah.
It's true.
Gobo isn't like, oh, you're rehearsing for your big water extravaganza. I totally understand.
Yeah.
And if anything, he's the one who says, oh, well, then I'll go fix it since
That's
you're
true.
busy.
They do say that.
And she
And
goes,
she says, no.
I'm the only one who can fix
You're
this.
right. They do offer to help.
Red sucks. That's what I'm saying.
I love Red. Red's my favorite one. Even in the cartoon, Red's my favorite one. I like her quite a bit. I like the way she looks. She's the only one that I think looks like fun. And she kind of looks like Kermit, too. Like, she's got a very Kermit-y quality, and she's very expressive in it, I think.
I feel like they did do a good job of translating. I think her and Boober are the best
Boober looks
looking
great.
cartoons.
You know who looks really bad? The Doozers. They look so
oh my
lumpy
god, we
and
are going to
naked.
talk a lot about that episode because oh man, we talked about
They're
how they are always
so
naked
naked.
when they're in the Doozer Dome. They take off all their work
Yeah.
belts and everything. But when it's animated, for some reason, it seems so much worse.
They draw some of the musculature of their naked bodies. And
Yeah,
it's just like,
you can just see everything.
draw them different for the cartoon guys. All right. Fraggle Babble. Moki is declared the best writer in Fraggle Rock. As such, she gets to add words to the dictionary that all Fraggles are supposed to use. However, Moki is going around gathering words from everybody she knows, and she decides that it might be more fair if everybody got to add new words. So she has everybody line up, and they come and they suggest to her a new word. And after that whole process is over, they got a billion new words. Everything is called something different than it used to be. But the problem is that nobody will use these new words, and that frustrates Moki. So she goes and gets Convincing John to convince them all to use the new dictionary, basically. The Fraggles listen to him and they start to use the new words, and the language in effect is so changed that nobody can communicate with each other at all, and bad things happen and misunderstandings cause disasters. So Moki has to go get John to come back and reverse his convincing process. And then she decides that they don't need new words, they just need to use the ones they have better, whatever that means. It's like an anti-slang episode maybe or something. It's like somebody was like annoyed that someone said radical, and they were like, these kids gotta stop making up new words.
It did feel a little like that. It did feel like just because Moki couldn't keep up with the changing language, she was like, whoa, gotta nip this in the bud.
Yeah, no new words ever. Just use the ones we have.
I mean, to be fair, this feels like I felt like a little bit like Moki. Like we're old men. We don't understand words like Rizzler and Baby Gronk. Like, what do those mean?
I do.
Nobody knows.
I know what that means. I actually not really sure who the Rizzler is. I thought the Rizzler was the kid.
I told you.
I thought the Rizzler was the kid from those Costco TikToks, but that's Big Justice. So I don't know who the Rizzler is. Unfortunately,
I thought the Rizzler was also the Costco kid, Sam.
I don't think he is.
Is he not?
It's Big Justice, because I just watched a rap video that they made and it said Big Justice under him when he was rapping. Or maybe the dad's Big Justice and the kid is Little Justice or something like that. I'm not really sure. If you had to watch animated Fraggle Rock for the rest of your life, or the Costco videos. But the thing is, there's going to be new Costco videos and never new Fraggle Rocks.
Yeah, but I have never enjoyed a moment of one of the Costco videos. So I would much rather.
You don't even like how he says double chunk chocolate chip cookie. No, I hate that. Fucking hate that. Okay.
I was like, you were trying to convince me, though, right? And then you just unconvinced yourself.
Mad.
I mean, I've never heard him say those words, but your impression of it doesn't make me want to go seek it out.
That's like literally the only words he says in any video.
I can tell you, Sam, the most I've ever heard them say that I can remember is, we're Costco guys.
I'm a Costco guy. Yeah.
And then beyond that, I'm like, I just am. Anytime I see these kinds of videos, I imagine myself shopping in Costco and seeing somebody do this and going, ugh. Yeah. And having to like squeeze by because I need to get a giant gallon of ketchup or something.
And it's kind of messed up, Costco, because you think about it when you're at Costco. And I don't want to.
You gotta be on the lookout. What if they're at my Costco today?
There was one where they did I'm a Costco guy with people who were doing I'm a Sam's Club guy. And the Costco guys were like, we have $1 hot dogs. And then the Sam's Club guys were like, we have really big bottles of Fanta. It was so sad because they don't have anything special. Anyway, what a culture, huh? You're right. We don't need new stuff. We just need to watch Fraggle Rock.
My argument was not that we don't need new stuff.
No
it was that
more
we
new
need
media.
better new stuff.
Yeah, you're right. Oh boy. Okay. Well, the Radish Fairy, that's the next episode. We're almost done, guys. The Fraggles are putting on a play about the Radish Fairy, a deity who brought the world of Fraggle Rock radishes long ago in ancient times. During rehearsals, they bust open the prop radish that they were using, so they have to go up and get a new one. In the process, Junior catches them, but Red is still in costume as the Radish Fairy, so she convinces him that she's the real deal and that he needs to start putting his radishes down the Fraggle hole. Put your radish down the Fraggle hole. He obeys, but then when he's done putting all the radishes in, the dang rock is chock-a-block full of radishes, and nobody has any room to move or do anything. So Moki goes back up and tells him to stop putting the radishes down there. Perhaps they get rid of all the radishes that are already down there? I don't remember. Do they? Or does she just say
think
stop?
So.
And he says, okay.
I think she just says, hey, stop, please. And he says, okay. And I guess they'll eventually eat through the radishes.
The radish supply. Or they'll rot.
Yeah, I don't know how long radishes last off the vine.
You can store them.
Or whatever.
I think you can store them if they're in a dry place, which Fraggle Rock is not. Fraggle Rock is very damp, I'd assume. Nasty, damp, stinky place. You think it smells like cats down there?
Like cats?
Yeah, like
because they're peeing everywhere?
When you go into a house where the person had like 45 cats, you know? I bet it stinks down there. It's one of those, it smells crazy in their kind of situations.
Yeah, because the pond seems to be their only place where they might be getting clean, but they're also not like flushing out that water super regularly, I don't think.
Yeah.
So they are just swimming in their own filth constantly.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, Fraggle Rock does,
Stinky.
I have to imagine, smell terrible.
Stinky place. So the next episode is the funniest joke in the universe. Matt called it exactly when he said, we're not going to hear the joke. We did not hear the joke.
I hated that so much.
So the Fraggles are telling, whatever the joke would have been more embarrassing than not hearing it.
Which is why I hate that concept. Is like a plot line is like when somebody is just like, well, we're going to say something is the funniest joke in the world.
Yeah.
But we can't think of a funny enough joke to fit that title, so we're just not going to say it.
It is such a daring thing. Or like shows about like the funniest comedians ever and stuff. And it's like, wow. It was like the Studio 60 problem where it was like, we're the funniest show ever. Demonstrably not true. You are not. The Fraggles are telling each other jokes, but Boober, he doesn't get jokes, and he doesn't have any jokes of his own. So he goes to the storyteller, hoping to get a joke that he gets and likes and can tell his friends. She's not there when he gets there, but he runs across a scroll containing the funniest joke in the universe. But the scroll also carries a warning to use it with caution. Boober reads the joke to himself, but he doesn't get it, so he brings it to his friends. He tells Red and Moki the joke, and they start laughing uncontrollably and unceasingly. He consults the scroll, and it also says that there is a cure, the waters of forgetfulness in the well of forgetfulness. So he, Gobo, and Wimbley go on a quest for the water, and they bring Red and Moki along too, which in retrospect was a stupid idea. They could have just like tied them up or something like that and gone and got the water. But eventually Gobo and Wimbley also hear the joke, and they start laughing. So it is up to humorless Boober to lead everybody to the well, which he does, and they're all saved. Fraggle Fool's Day. Red likes playing jokes on her friends so much that she declares a holiday called Fraggle Fool's Day, where everybody plays jokes on each other. It's all going pretty well at first until Red takes it too far, as she usually does. She and Moki build a hot air balloon and they drop itching powder on their friends, but the balloon drifts out of the well and into the Gorg garden, where the Gorgs start firing cannons at it, and the girls are in big trouble until they use Moki's super stretchy sweater, that's super stretchy because of a prank that Boober played earlier on them, to bungee jump and gather berries out of a tree, which weighs down the balloon until it lands, and they scamper back into the Fraggle hole, where Red apologizes for taking things too far. But I don't really know who she's Is she? I don't even know if she actually does that. She shouldn't apologize to anybody because she's really the only victim of her problem. Everybody else was having a really fun time.
Yeah, I thought like maybe the itchy, sneezy berries, whatever it was she was throwing at people, were going to be the problem because
Yeah.
she does seem like she's going mad
Yeah.
in that moment when she gets in the hot air balloon and starts throwing them at literally everyone. And
Yeah.
she's like, I'm going to win.
But they're having fun.
But it is like an inconvenience for 2 seconds,
Right.
it seems like.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know why she needs to apologize.
Finally, Wembley's trip to outer space. Wembley wimbles so bad that his brain breaks. The Fraggle Doctor, which is apparently a thing. I don't think we've ever seen a Fraggle Doctor before except Boober, right? He used to be the doctor.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I don't think we've ever seen. We definitely never seen this guy.
No, this guy. What's that voice he's doing? The Mad Hatter voice.
Yeah, Edwin.
Yeah, there's a couple.
Oh,
Edwins.
hello.
Yeah,
I'm here to hear about Wembley.
That is a good voice for a Fraggle Doctor. I'm sure in Fraggle Rock, the puppet version, there was probably an Edwin voice at some point.
I'm so shocked. You know, there's like those voices that all pop up in old cartoons that like we only know who this old actor is because they would do the voice on something like, oh, Tweety Bird does a Peter Lorre voice or something like that.
Exactly. Right.
And so I like whenever those things pop up, I'm like, oh yeah, this is they had one side character and someone was like, all right, who wants to voice this one? And somebody raised their hand. They're like, what do you got? It's like, I don't know, Edwin. They're like, all right, that works.
or Gopher. That's another one of those voices. Who's Gopher? The cowboy man or something. You can do a good Gopher voice too, can't you?
Pat Buttram?
Yeah. Is that right?
Yeah, Pat Buttram, Peter Lorre, Edwin. There's the gangster guy.
I've
like
never seen a movie with that guy in it, I don't think.
No, but like you know that voice and you know that somebody is referencing something. But yeah, no, it's interesting that like who are those for? I guess just for the voice actors, maybe.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was in Looney Tunes. It was for people who were normal people at that time because it was made in like
true. Those were yes.
And then those
like
people,
doing a Sabrina Carpenter reference now, and you'd be like, aha, I know that.
And then those people grow up and they were like, I think people just there were more people to do impressions of back then too. I feel like maybe because everybody had that like mid-Atlantic accent who was acting, or like I don't know.
Right. They're taking bigger swings with their own voices, maybe than like a Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah, how you do a Timothy?
Like, what's a Timothy Chalamet impression sound like? Huh? I don't know. Like if Tweety Bird was trying to sound like Timothy Chalamet, I wouldn't know what that would be.
I don't want to see that. That sounds bad. They'll say like Lisa and Al-Gaib or whatever, That's the Timothy Chalamet thing.
I mean, Warner Brothers, you can make Looney Tunes.
Yeah. Matt, back in the day, they used to do shit like that all the time.
Yeah. You get a Looney Tunes short.
You go see
before Dune Messiah.
And before Dune starts, you get Looney Tunes. Yeah. Okay, we can't fan cast Looney Tunes now, but maybe we can.
The problem is I've still never seen a Dune. So
I can help you. Yeah. We can get to the bottom of this. He tells them that the only thing that can help Wembley is a good scare. So his friends try to scare him. They wear costumes. They bring him up to the Gore Garden, but nothing's working. So they take the desperate measure of bringing him to outer space, where Gobo basically immediately gets caught by Sprocket, and then a comatose Wembley kind of subconsciously leaps into action, if I'm remembering correctly, saving Gobo before coming to and freaking out that he is in outer space. And then Wembley's better, and that's the end of the show. The episode... And then Wembley's better, and that's the end of this episode, and also the end of this entire show.
Does not go out with a bang.
No.
Much more of a whimper. Well, elsewhere in the world of the Muppets in late 1987, and these all come from Jim's Red Book, Jim's Journal, October 21st, 1987, VTR Dolly Parton show with Kermit.
Oh.
So both Kermit and Miss Piggy are going to be on Dolly Parton's show in late 1987. The show is just called Dolly, and Jim taped his appearance first, which is here on October 21st.
Was this like a special, or she had a show all the time?
I think she just had a TV show for a while.
Wow. And we're going to watch that, right?
If archive.org reappears by the time we are getting to that.
Our show's very dependent on archive.org.
Yeah, so hey, stop trying to hack and attack archive.org.
Yeah, what did they ever do to anybody except for all of the people whose copyright and stuff they have published?
Yeah, maybe it's Disney and Warner Brothers
Yeah,
attacking archive.org or something. But
scumbags.
come on, hackers, that is
Yeah.
not who you should be attacking.
No.
We got student loans you could take care
That's
of.
right. Why doesn't anybody ever? It must be really hard, or else nobody ever tries.
I
Anyway.
mean, yeah. November 4th, 1987, Phil Donahue Show. So in 1987, Sesame Street writer, composer, producer Chris Surf collaborated with Marlo Thomas to publish a book and album called Free to Be a Family,
Oh.
which included Kermit singing Something for Everyone and On My Pond. And so to promote that project, Kermit, in his Sesame Street reporter's outfit, introduced and interviewed Marlo Thomas on her husband's show, Donahue.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so they sang together, and Jim was interviewed. And then the following year, Jim collaborated with Marlo Thomas on a television special called Free to Be a Family. So we will see Free to Be a Family, I think, when we get there in 88. We do not have the Phil Donahue clip, so we won't be able to watch that. November 6th, 1987, Jim writes VTR chef commercial cereal.
Oh, Crunchy Stars?
Yeah, so we've talked about the Swedish Chef cereal before, which the potential names included Opal Saucies, Crunchy Poofs, Moopets, and Stupid Flakes.
Real missed opportunity not calling it Stupid Flakes.
In Jim's Red Book, they note that this was a favorite amongst the Henson people, but not Post. So Post was like, yeah, we're not going to sell Stupid Flakes. But it did eventually turn into a real product called Crunchy Stars, which showed up in grocery stores in 1988. This commercial shoot in 1987 was for Stupid Flakes. So this commercial is not the one that ended up going out, but we will get to watch some Crunchy Stars.
I can't believe I've never seen that commercial before. Have you?
I have only made sure it exists so that we can watch it, but I have not watched it. November 15th, 1987, VTR Hall of Fame in LA. So Jim was notified that the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, who are the people who do the Emmy Awards, were going to induct him into their Hall of Fame.
Wow.
And so we get to watch this pretty soon, actually, in an upcoming episode, because we have this whole segment from, I think it was from the Emmys, where Kermit's there and a bunch of Muppets, and they do like a little celebration of Jim. So I think we'll get to see a lot of our old friends for the first time in a while.
Jim celebrating himself as Kermit.
Yeah, to be fair, yes. But they did ask him to do it. So it wasn't like he was like, hey, what if he celebrated me?
Yeah.
On November 17th, 1987, VTR, Mother Goose, Humpty Dumpty in Plymouth, Brian directs.
Oh, yeah. Okay. We were just talking about this off mic.
Yeah, so this is them recording the pilot episode of Mother Goose Stories, which is a series that will eventually air on the Disney Channel in 1990. So yeah, I think we'll at least watch some of this soon because it's on a Playhouse VHS in 1988, but we'll probably end up watching the rest of the episodes when we get to 1990. And the last thing from Jim's Red Book during this era is December 2nd, 1987, Muppet Tiffany Windows Open.
Oh, what's this?
Yeah. So in 1987, Jim was asked to create the holiday windows for Tiffany's 150th anniversary.
Wow.
So Jim and Michael Frith included some characters from Sesame Street, Fraggle Rock, and the Muppets in the Tiffany windows. And I don't actually know. There must be photos out there.
There's at least one of Wembley. It's really cute. He's been wrapped up in Christmas lights by doozers.
Oh, it's like a legit Wembley too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's the only one I see though.
I'm sure there must be more pictures out there somewhere. But Jim was quoted as saying, "It's a very classy place for them to be. And of course, Tiffany's is Piggy's favorite place to be in the entire world, so she comes here to do a lot of window shopping." But that's what the Muppets were up to, and again, we will come back to some of that stuff as we watch it in our next several episodes covering the end of 1987.
They're busy.
Well, and so Sam, getting into Fraggle Rock, the animated series, now that we've finished it, how are you feeling overall about this show?
I think I feel the same way I did last week, where there's like some good seeds of story ideas here that, like you've already mentioned, they basically just like cut off halfway, which makes sense because they're half as long as an episode of Fraggle Rock. But it's like they
Right.
get so close. They have like an interesting first act and then a conclusion, but then nothing happens in the middle to like deepen anything. And it's so like the thing that bothers me about this is that it seems like they have leaned really heavily into the worlds are connected kind of idea. But so the show would do that, and some of the best episodes of the show are ones where it was like this affects this, which affects this, and this show does have that cause and effect, but everything that they're doing it about is so boring that
Yeah.
they don't learn, like there's not like an environmentalist message tied into it or a getting along peacefully message tied into it. It's really just like, I think like the one that you were talking about with the bear with the Sweetwater is almost like a betrayal of what Fraggle Rock is supposed to
Mm.
be, because they really just go up and trick Junior into kicking that thing open so that they can have the benefit of having the Sweetwater. It does show it watering that tree, but that doesn't matter because the Gorgs never get to have it, and like the Gorgs never understand that they're playing a part in anything. So it's just like stepped backwards from the end of the show, which is fine and understandable. You can't make a post peace Fraggle Rock show, really. But geez, I don't care about Gobo going on a 20-minute long adventure to flip a switch to like turn the hot water heater back on if he's not going to learn something about himself in the process.
Well, and yeah, you mentioned the Sweetwater one specifically. It shows off that cycle, but again, the cycle only works for the Fraggles.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
the Gorgs don't benefit at all
Uh-huh.
in that scenario. Like, it is only the Fraggles get their Sweetwater,
Yeah.
and they show a little bit at the end that like the roots of that plant
Are in the
are in the
lake.
Sweetwater,
Yeah.
and so the Gorgs wouldn't get their yum berries without the Sweetwater,
These
but
fools
they
don't get the
also
yum berries anyway.
exactly. So it doesn't actually benefit anyone
No.
other than the Fraggles.
Yeah.
I think it was good that we came into the show with such low expectations because
Uh-huh.
I do think it has exceeded those extremely low expectations.
I would agree with that.
I'm bummed that there's not like an actual lesson or moral in any of these.
There's some actually like problematic morals in some of them, I feel like. Like the
yeah,
one
the
about
one
language, or the one where at the end Moki's like, I'll never make art that bothers anyone ever again. What in the fuck is that supposed to mean?
or the one about the joke where the lesson seems to be like, good thing you don't have a sense of humor, Boober.
I think that's okay. I think it's like some people need to take things a little more seriously sometimes, you know? But
I guess, but it felt like the lesson was
yeah,
everyone needs to take everything more seriously.
right. Yes.
Coming into this week, the voices don't bother me anymore. Like,
Mm-mm.
as far as watching 7 more episodes of the show, I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Like, the conceit of the show, the style of the show, that has washed over me. I don't have a problem with that.
I agree. Yeah.
Junior Gorg is objectively worse than Puppet Junior Gorg. He
Yeah.
is obnoxious.
The Gorgs all suck because Ma and Pa have lost they've lost their horniness. It's just occurring to me.
They
right
don't have
now
any horniness.
that Pa's main motivation in the show, in the puppet version, is getting laid, and that he doesn't have that motivation anymore. He's like this is like Pa before like their sex life improved or something, and he's just like violent. He was just like, Junior, we're gonna train to go kill some people, which is
He's
not
much more
something.
violent.
Yeah.
They really went like, well, we can't do sex on a children's show, so let's do violence.
Let's talk about him. Yeah, let's have him shooting guns and stuff. That's much better than human
Yeah.
sexuality. Yeah. So that Pa is just not lazy like he was in the puppet version, and it's kind of scary, honestly, that he's not, because that was the only thing apparently keeping him from being a bloodthirsty tyrant.
But it's also interesting that they don't make that violence targeted towards the Fraggles very often.
Yeah, it's just an invisible enemy.
Like, he's not
Right.
a foe for the Fraggles very often in
Right.
this show, in the way that he could be, especially since they ramped up his violent streak.
Mhm.
But
It's because
instead,
if he
it's
wanted
usually...
to, we've seen he could kill all the Fraggles.
Right. There's a moment in one of these episodes where Junior has 2 Fraggles in his hands, and if he just squeezed a little
Yeah.
bit harder,
Yeah.
pop, they're
Yeah,
both dead.
like if Junior wasn't in Fraggle Rock when that bomb fell into Fraggle Rock that Pa made, the
Yes.
Fraggles would all be dead. He could kill
True.
them without even a thought.
there's a weird running joke that I have to assume they did in the first half of these episodes, but I didn't notice
What is it?
until this
Oh, is
batch.
it the stupid outer space thing?
Yes. We have the weird worm butterfly catching guy with his weird hairy nose.
Yeah.
But there's also a running joke of anytime they say something about like outer space, this weird sci-fi music plays.
Yeah.
And a few times the characters notice it in a veterinarian's hospital kind of way,
Yeah.
which is bizarre because they don't do anything else like that in this show.
Yeah. It doesn't really read for some reason either. I just can't quite figure out what it is. I think it's like the quality of the animation, or like the
Mm.
fact that maybe the first time they do it, or one of the times they should have been like, "What is that noise?" But
Well, they don't say that. There is one episode where they are in like Gobo and Wembley's cave, and they
mhm,
say it, and Moki and Gobo look around like they heard the song, and they look at each
yeah,
other, and they're like, "Huh," and they just keep going.
yeah,
So they acknowledge it, but it's weird that they only kind of acknowledge it. And again, like getting back to the worm catching guy, he is constantly upstaging the action of the episode, and no one acknowledges him.
yeah. Even like they acknowledged him more the first few times when he was just kind of being normal, like he wasn't really being that obtrusive. But now, literally, he's being chased by what's that monster name? Big V or something like that.
Big V, and they block the entirety of the screen at
Yeah.
one point while Boober and Gobo are just having a conversation,
Yeah, and nobody
and nobody
mentions
says
it or
anything.
anything like that, which, I get what they're trying to do. It just doesn't work, The show
Yeah.
doesn't work, so you can't do running gags yet. I'm sorry. You got to get your house in order before you can start doing the running gags.
Well, how do you think this compares to Muppet Babies?
I think this batch got dangerously close to Muppet Babies territory. Like, it's amazing to me that it can pack so much boring
I
stuff
can't tell if
into.
that's a compliment or not.
It's amazing it can pack so much boring stuff into 11-minute episodes, or like less than
Mm,
11-minute. Like, there's so much filler per episode, just like
yeah.
there is like, I don't know. I think if Muppet Babies was 11 minutes long, it would be a much better show than this. Is, I guess, what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think this is much. I think it's much more boring than Muppet Babies,
Totally, I
but it's
agree.
also less obnoxious than some Muppet Babies
Yeah,
episodes.
that's hearing the babies talk like babies for 20 minutes, yes, 3 times in a row every week, is worse than listening to the Fraggles talk. Because the Fraggles are, yeah, you're just like, I'm barely staying awake. But the babies are
Hmm.
like, I actively want you to die.
Yeah, like Baby Fozzie like rubs me the wrong way more
Uh-huh.
often than anyone else.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking, I was like, well, at least there's not a Baby Fozzie in this show.
Yeah. Wembley gets pretty close for me in terms of just like, I hate you so much. Because
Yeah.
they've lost the element of him being stupid.
Mm.
Stupid but kind-hearted and like always trying to do the right thing, and instead he has allergies and he is scared of everything and he can't make up his mind, which he always couldn't make up his mind, even though I feel like they kind of dumped that as the show went on a little bit. But well, he's like a follower, not a leader, I guess. But in
Yeah.
this show, he literally in one episode says, I'm scared of everything. That's Boober, guys. That's the only thing that Boober has. Do not take it away from Boober.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really interesting how getting into that, like we were just talking about this recently on an episode of like how TV shows often have a lot of different writers,
Mm-hmm.
and how normally that works out fine.
Yeah.
This is one show where I feel the different writers coming in with a clean slate and just being like, I have no idea what anyone else is doing on this show, so I'm just going
Yeah.
to write this episode in a vacuum.
Yeah, but it does also seem like they've watched several episodes of Fraggle Rock and they know all these little references
Yeah.
and stuff. So there's either a Bible or they really did like crash course watch almost every episode of the show or something.
I think, yeah, some writers have watched more Fraggle Rock than others.
Mm-hmm.
I think Bill Prady, which makes sense because he worked for like the Henson Company. I think he watched Fraggle Rock start to finish,
Yeah.
and he understands that show because his episodes, I feel like, have a certain level of character to them that the other ones don't. So the very first one, I think, out of all of these, is my favorite in this batch, which is the Ambassador Gorg one.
Yeah.
I think is my favorite half of an episode from this batch of 7 episodes. And I feel like the writing in this one specifically feels the closest to the original show in this batch, where the characters all feel like the real characters.
Yeah, I can
Boober
agree with
feels
that.
like Boober. Boober keeps talking about, like, you know, the things he's worried might happen,
Mhm.
and like Wembley's allergies are there, which they're leaning a little too hard into. But I think this one felt like the most close to an actual Fraggle Rock episode.
Yeah, and I would say Fraggle Fool's Day also is pretty close to an actual Fraggle Rock episode too, even though there's a couple weird moments, but we'll get into that when we get to them. But did you catch that Kathy Mullen wrote one of the episodes?
I did, which was interesting because I expected it to be like a really Moki heavy episode. Like
Uh-huh.
in the old series, like, you know, there'd be a lot of episodes where it's just like, oh, this whole thing is about Moki falling in love with a doll of herself or something.
Yeah.
Um, and this one not being really about Moki was surprising.
Yeah.
Like I thought maybe like they'd bring Kathy Mullen in as like the resident Moki
Moki
expert or
expert.
something,
Yeah.
but nope, she's in to kill off Red.
I really liked that episode actually. I think that would have been that one felt of all of them that we've ever watched, I feel like that one felt the most like an actual episode of the show. The conclusion I
Interesting.
think was a little busted, but of getting mad at
I
Boober, but
I think for me, something I think that episode highlights and something that the show is just keeps doing
mhm.
is there's no there's no mystery at all.
Yeah,
Like they show you everything and then they just show you it again as the characters figure it out.
that's
And so I
true.
think if there had
That's
been
true.
something where we didn't get to see literally everything the sweater had done on its way to Boober before he
Oh,
then has to
yeah.
reverse engineer it and they have to go to all the places we already saw the sweater go.
That's a good point.
I think it would be a little bit more of a mystery for us where like we could
Yeah.
see Red be safe. We don't have to actually believe Red is dead.
Right.
Like I don't need that level of like keeping things from the
Yeah.
audience. But I think like not giving away everything and then just having to rehash it.
And I think in a longer episode they would have realized what happened. Red and Moki would have realized what happened, and then there would have been like a recursive thing where like they went out to have to save the guys or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like there would have just been the wrinkle that
Yeah.
teaches the lesson or whatever. Where in this one, it's just like there's no lesson. There's just like Boober, you fucking idiot at the end of the episode, which made me feel bad for him.
Well, and yeah, like everything, like all the episodes have to end with it's just like the first, like it always feels like that inciting incident is the
Yeah.
end of the episode where they're
Right.
like, oh, Red's actually fine. She's right here. And they're like, oh, all right, episode's over.
Yeah.
As opposed to figuring out like, you know, having to talk about what happened or why this
Yes,
happened or
that's
this
right.
adding an
You're
extra
right.
wrinkle. It's all just
Yeah.
like the moment a small
Yeah.
problem is resolved, they're like, oh, and we're out.
Oh, that's smart. Yeah, because in the show, they will cause something bad to happen, and then that will cause them to like spiral in a different direction or something, and have to figure out how to make up for it, or figure out how to apologize, or double down on it and cause even more issues. But yeah, you're right. This is the first act of a regular episode of Fraggle Rock.
I think the Radish Fairy one drives that home
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
because there's parts of that that could be a regular Fraggle Rock episode.
It would be cute to
when
see her dangling from a tree and Junior being like, whoa, the radish
Mhm.
fairy. Yeah.
that I feel like happens with like 4 minutes left of the episode. And
Uh-huh.
so they have to like quickly, they're like, oh shit, too many radishes. All right, I'm just going to go tell him, stop it. And he's
Yeah.
going to say, okay. And that's
Right.
the end of the episode. And it's like,
Right.
oh, that's all it took was for you to say, hey, Junior, stop
Yeah.
it. And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
Like that's
And
not how they would solve a problem in the puppet version.
no, they'd have some kind of their relationship would just get weirder and weirder, and he'd ask for more and more, she'd ask for more and more.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Is like there's not enough room for more beats.
Yeah.
Like it's like, you know, if comedy is the rule of threes, yeah, we only got time for 2.
Exactly.
And it's like,
yeah.
oh, okay, but we don't really get to like play anything out or like find a rhythm. And it's like,
Right.
you only got 11 minutes. What are you
Yeah.
gonna do?
Yeah.
It's like even the Uncle Traveling Matt segments for me, which they don't do a ton of, don't work in part because it just feels like a pale imitation of
Yeah. Of
like the
something that
whole
didn't always work that well anyway.
right. And so I think seeing this just like Uncle Traveling Matt walking around like photographs of a real location kind of thing, just the novelty is that Uncle Traveling Matt is out in the real world and
Right.
we know what that means and how weird that
Right.
is. So like
Right.
seeing him just like do it in cartoon form, I feel like if you can't do this in full on Roger Rabbit,
Yeah.
Uncle Traveling Matt animated into human footage,
Yeah.
like there's no point
Right.
in
Just have
doing.
Matt be at home. He's
Yeah.
just yeah.
I just think it doesn't work at all.
No, I agree.
And I think they kind of maybe realize that because they don't do it that much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's a really interesting show, and I wouldn't have been surprised if they did more of these because it's not terrible.
No, and one thing that I remember reading about was that they were developing a Doozer show, and I think we talked about this last time. They were developing a Doozer cartoon, and to me, the Doozers work better than the Fraggles do in this form, because the Doozers were very limited puppets, but they were very active characters. So to be able to see them actually doing all this stuff, like building stuff and planning stuff and doing crazy stuff, that's way more interesting. And then you eliminate the problem of having to have Uncle Matt and having to have Doc and Sprocket, except maybe like token gestures to them every now and then.
Just wait until 2014, I think, we get to watch a Doozer cartoon.
We do?
Yeah, there's a Doozer animated series.
I think the Doozers would have made a better show, except they're so flagrantly nude.
Oh
They
my
would have had to
God.
do something about that.
Thankfully, that did not carry over into the 2014
Okay,
series because it's like a Nick Jr. show.
Right.
And so, explicitly made for very small children.
Yeah.
I don't think the Doozers are ever nude in the newer cartoon.
Even if they had just had like little ties on or something, while they needed to have some kind of leisure wear, like little sweatsuits. If they had little sweatsuits,
give them a robe,
yeah,
smoking jacket,
give them their little robes,
Adidas running suits, something.
Yeah, something, please, for crying out loud.
But yeah, when they're doing that song in that episode,
Yeah.
they're all so nude and just dancing
and they're flipping around, and it's like their holes must be flying all over the place.
They're probably like, we can't show a Doozer from the back because I'm gonna have to draw some cheeks.
There will be ass cheeks for sure. Yeah. Just draw them different, guys. Just
draw them a little softer,
a little different,
a little blobbier. Like they start to get a little too human. When you start adding muscles in.
Don't put like the line down their abs. That's okay. Or a belly button. We don't need to see that. So anyway, Ambassador Gorg.
Yeah, like running through these episodes in order. We've got the first one from October 24th, 1987, Ambassador Gorg, which was written by Bill Prady. And yeah, it starts off with Pa and Junior LARPing.
As they do. That's not out of the question for them. Pa's just taking it more seriously than he normally does.
There was something in this episode that I thought was really, really well done and interesting. When they start talking about the enemy, there's a moment where like Junior suggests going and talking to the enemy.
Yeah.
That Pa is like, oh well, I don't know if we should do that. And I'm not 100% convinced that Pa thinks that there are enemies.
Oh, that Pa doesn't know that they are. That would be an interesting character.
I think Pa isn't 100% convinced that there is an enemy, but he doesn't want Ma and Junior to know that about him. And so at first I was like, wait, is he lying? But I don't think that's the case because later on he is like fully afraid that the enemy is coming.
That they snuck in and ate the food, right?
Yes. But I do think there's a glimmer of doubt in Pa.
Because he's never seen any other living thing his entire life.
Right. And so I think there is part of Pa that can imagine a world where there is no other Gorg.
Yeah. That would be like a very sad version of Pa where he knows for a fact that they're the last Gorgs. And he's just like, it's like a Fallout Shelter kind of situation where he's just like,
doing this to keep up the spirits of Ma
going
and
through the
Junior.
motions until eventually he'll die and it's not his problem anymore.
Oh, but he would. Nah, it's too dark. I'm not gonna say. I was just gonna say he would take care of Ma and Junior first.
He'd have to. That would be the nice thing to do. The Gorgs are too sad. They should have not done that to the Gorgs. There should have been other Gorgs. What's the problem with there being other Gorgs?
at least let there be the idea of like, oh, my cousin from far
Yeah,
away
like the
kind of
Adams
thing.
family or something, where they're mentioning all these freakish cousins that they have, but you never see them.
Yeah.
Or it would even be fun if there actually was an enemy, and just every now and then it was like a arrow whizzes past them or something like that, and they're just like, time to fire the arrow back this morning. This is just what we do.
Or Pa's brother just shows up and he's fully just like a normal dude.
Just a guy.
He's just wearing a suit. He's like Homer's brother on The
Oh
Simpsons.
yes, he does not. He does not buy into this whole King of the Universe thing.
We find out that
That's
essentially
hilarious.
the Gorgs are like Renaissance fair people. That like this is not
they're
the way this
stuck.
world actually is.
That would be great. Instead of just them and Wander McMooch up there. Awful.
It's like the village. Really, the Gorgs are the village.
Yeah.
And if they just went 50 feet in another direction, they realize, oh, there's just
There's
a human
highway
society.
right there.
Spoilers for The Village.
Sorry, guys. Yeah.
Spoiled a 20-year-old movie.
But yeah, I think like this also could have been an interesting puppet episode because the Fraggles accidentally getting that invitation and then them sharing a meal is an interesting thought. Like them going upstairs and being like, you guys invited us, and the Gorgs being like, I guess we kind of did invite them. I guess we got to have dinner with them. And then they have dinner, and then something maybe goes crazy, but there's like this moment of like, this is kind of nice, right?
I also like the idea that this is an episode that you can't do with the puppets because Junior needs to go out and wander for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And like you don't really have a lot of sets.
He and Moki wander in one episode, but there's pretty much just the swamp set and
right.
Yeah.
But you're able to do bigger, more elaborate sets in the animated version.
And creatures that are big enough to threaten Junior.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, I think the concept here is more interesting than the execution, which I think is maybe the story of this entire show.
Totally, yeah.
I like that they sort of just threw the idea of the Gorgic alphabet out the window in this one, where it's like the Fraggles can see and read just English letters.
Alphabet, yeah.
But yeah, I think something about this worked for me better than the other ones. This was one episode where I wrote down, I know the songs are a big part of Fraggle Rock, but sometimes they feel really out of place in this cartoon.
Totally. So you can feel in the episode, I think I mentioned this last time too, when the episode is written around a song, when the writer was just looking at the list of songs and they're like, there's the one. I have an idea.
There's one.
Their cook dinner.
The egregious one in this is the Drippy Dilemma.
Oh, yeah.
Where they just keep commenting of like, it's kind of a puka 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 noise. Oh, I think it's like a squealy dee noise. And you're like, get to it. I know what you're doing. Just get to it and sing the song. But yeah, that episode just kind of wraps up with them eating the Gorg's food.
Yep. That one really fizzles out at the end. Because that would be like there is a lesson. If you're going to end war, one of the lessons you need to teach people is finding commonality with people who you don't agree with. So not doing that and just having the Fraggles come eat all their food, and then the Gorgs come out and be like, oh shit, somebody ate all our food. Now we're even more mad. That's opposite. That's cultivating war.
Well, it also is like in the puppet version, you would have had the Fraggles are assuming they were invited to dinner. So
yes,
like they would have no reason to hide or run from the Gorgs. So they get there and the Gorgs would show up and catch them and they'd be like, oh, hey, thanks for inviting us to dinner. And then the Gorgs would chase them or whatever.
Or because they are bound by honor and the Fraggles would have the invitation, they would have to be like, well, a Gorg always has to honor their invitations. So.
I like that. They'd be like, wait, but Junior gave us this.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Junior, I can't believe you invited those Fraggles to dinner. And then Ma's like, well, we have to be nice to our guest,
even
Pa.
though it's disgusting. And she'd be like, try not to barf the whole time or something like that. Could be good. All of these are just like how we would fix this, which is fine. And that you touched on something that really bothers me about this is that the Fraggles never feel like how Fraggles are supposed to feel. They're so stupid, and everything they do is just motivated by them being stupid instead of being naive. And those are different. Like they don't understand the world that they live in entirely, so they make silly decisions. But these Fraggles are just straight up like cartoon stupid. All of them.
these Fraggles also don't want to understand.
Yeah.
Like I think
That's true. That makes
I think
sense.
the puppet Fraggles are more curious
Mhm.
and want to learn and not be dumb. Whereas
Yeah.
these ones are just like, whatever, everything works out well for us. So
That-
what's the matter?
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. The Fraggles in the show and the puppet show know that they don't know everything, and these Fraggles don't know that. Which is kind of what the background Fraggles in the puppet show are like more. They are more like boorishly stupid, where our friend Fraggles are young and curious and wanting to understand the world, and they like bring
Yeah.
people together. But in this
Like
one,
they're
they're
fascinated
flat
by a
and dead too.
ball that they get from Sprocket or whatever that they're like,
Right.
whoa, I can't believe this exists.
Yeah.
And this they'd be like, oh, cool, free ball.
Yeah. This is our ball. And then they like beat Sprocket up or something.
Yeah.
They
Give us
like
more balls.
they like drop a big brick on his head or something.
I feel bad for Sprocket in this.
Me
Sprocket
too.
is like reduced to the worst
Yeah.
like adaptation, I think, of any of the characters.
Yeah, he just kind of is he's also violent, and Doc isn't particularly nice to him and treats him a little bit more like a dog.
Well, the second half of that episode is Homebody Matt. Uncle Traveling Matt is coming home, as he often did in the puppet version. But in this one, when he's on his way, he gets a bonk on his head and forgets he's an explorer, and now he doesn't want to leave ever again.
Really selective. It's like not the rules of getting bonked on a head. They are not followed in this episode, the general cartoon rules, because you either are Fred Flintstone and you get a different personality, which kind of happens here, but not really.
He only forgets one specific piece of
Or
his
you
personality.
forget your whole personality,
Right.
which is also not what happens here. Instead, he forgets and swaps one part of his personality. A bridge too far, I would say.
Yeah, it's extremely convenient that the only thing we know about this man is the only thing that gets swapped.
Yeah.
Is that he switches from Traveling Matt to Homebody Matt. And they make that moment
Yeah.
such like a big thing when he's like, they're like,
Yeah.
well, you have to travel. You're Traveling Matt. And he's like, not anymore.
No.
I'm Homebody Matt.
This also happened in the show, I think, because he gets really scared and refuses to go out into outer space. Because I was going to say he should just get really scared and refuse to go out into outer space. But then I was like, oh, yeah,
Wait a minute.
So this episode already exists.
Yeah, there are a few of these that are very similar to episodes of the show, but worse. Gobo sings Follow Me to try and get Uncle Traveling Matt to become a traveler again. And this one I did like because they changed the lyrics up a little bit.
Where
and Uncle Traveling Matt is like responding to be like,
no,
actually.
And that's just a good song. And one thing I do really like about this show is that the background music is often adapted from songs from the show. And especially they play Follow Me a lot. And that song just like is touching for me for some reason. I think that's a really nice song.
Well, Gobo says he's ashamed of his Uncle Matt and takes Uncle Traveling Matt's exploring clothes to go explore outer space, but gets trapped by Sprocket. And then when Uncle Traveling Matt, I think, goes to rescue him, another wrench falls on Uncle Traveling Matt's head again. And so now he's like, aha, I'm back.
Uncle Traveling Matt again. The end.
And the worst part about that is that I had to go back like frame by frame to see the wrench fall on his head.
I don't know that it ever actually does because I did the same thing. Oh, okay. I did the same thing.
There's a tiny wrench because the majority of the frame is Sprocket being hit with stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
And then Uncle Traveling Matt's like, aha, I'm back. And you're like, how? You just dropped a bunch of stuff on a dog.
Yeah.
But you can, if you look frame by frame, there's a tiny wrench in the background that only seems to bounce off of Uncle Traveling Matt. But it's like, that's the most important moment in this entire episode. And you don't actually show it.
Do a close-up of his head getting bonked.
Yeah. Well, then on Halloween 1987, we have a whole episode dedicated to one story, which is the Great Fraggle Freeze. And even though this takes up the entire 23 minutes, it feels extremely rushed throughout.
Well, yeah. I don't understand how time is constricted and expanded in this episode because nothing happens in the whole thing, and it still feels like they didn't have enough time to tell the story that they wanted to tell.
Yeah, this is it's a weird one because it does feel like it should have come after the later water episode that we get because it's all about the water interacting, the pipe bangers come back.
This could have been the last episode of the show. Like if it had been the last episode, that might have been nice.
Yeah, I think that would have been fine. It's so weird when the pipe bangers come out. I was like, oh, hey, it's the guys from the show, but we're not really told anything about them. And then later on in another episode, we get their song and we get introduced to them in a way that I'm like, oh, this
Yeah.
definitely should have come
They flipped
before the other
something
pipe
that
banger.
they shouldn't have flipped, is right.
But Gobo finds an old cloak in a cave that has the symbol of the ancient Fraggles on it, and he,
This amounts to
Red's
nothing.
well, Red says maybe it has magical powers, and Gobo says, I don't know about that, which is the most no and improv moment from Gobo, where I'm like, yeah, well, it could, Gobo.
Does it?
Like,
I don't think anything happens with the cloak after the first half of the episode that I remember. I think it's just the thing that makes it so that the trash heap's like, well, you have to go on the adventure.
Oh God, you're right. I think
That's
nothing
right.
happens with the cloak.
So Gobo's correct.
Which makes sense. Like, he's usually proved right in a lot of these episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But
Gobo and Wembley both are very different than their show version, because Gobo does take the Leonardo role of being correct, when in the show, Gobo is one of the dumbest motherfuckers around, basically.
Well, and often has to admit he was wrong about things.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big part of the
He's
learning
getting
that
chumped
he goes
left and
through.
right.
It also bothered me that, one, they didn't use the ancient Fraggle logo that we've seen.
Actual symbol. Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't name this ancient Fraggle.
Yeah.
Which they've done 10 different fake names in this show already, of Pafragamus or whatever.
Yeah.
And all
Even
this
if it's
thing.
a bad name.
Yeah. Just give this fool a name.
Name him Fraggo Polo or something, There, I did it.
You did it. Good
Let
job.
me in the writer's room.
Well, Doc and Sprocket lose electricity, which sends cold water to Fraggle Rock, which freezes and destroys the Doozer constructions.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
And the Doozers are like, we must carry out a special mission. This has been foretold.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about this whole part. I like the Doozers in this show.
Yeah, the Doozers are a strong addition to this show, but everything else sucks. They state something more explicitly than we've maybe ever heard until later on in this batch of episodes, when Gobo is talking to the trash heap. She says something about the ancient Fraggle Explorer, or somebody says something about the ancient Fraggle Explorer, and Gobo says, he's been dead for a long time.
They do say that. Not a necessary statement.
No, I think it is the trash heap. She says something like, we need the ancient Fraggle Explorer. And Gobo's like, well, he's been dead for a long time, so don't know what we're going to do about that. Maybe that's why they didn't want to name him. They didn't want to kill him immediately.
Well, Pithragomus, I would assume, is also dead.
It could have been Rathbone.
Yeah.
Rathbone was an explorer,
He was an explorer,
and we assumed he was dead.
That's true. I liked... Last episode, I was confused why Michael Frith said the Fraggles are responsible for the water. And maybe I just don't remember the pipe banging episode well enough. But I feel like in that pipe banger episode of the puppet show, they didn't really hit home how important it was that they're doing what they're doing. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just need to rewatch that one.
And maybe it's just because the pipe bangers don't show up as often in the puppet version that it, this cartoon really drives home that they have to do this a lot. The pipe bangers have to show up a lot because this water keeps getting taken by the Gorgs. And so it feels like the pipe bangers are there once a week to get Doc to turn a nozzle. He doesn't know what it does, but he's just like, stop banging.
It seems to work, yeah.
So in that one, Doc turned off the water pipes to fix the boiler. Unknown to Doc, this cuts off the Fraggles' only water supply. So I think it's just a constant that basically in the original Fraggle Rock, the pipe bangers weren't needed because it was always flowing until Doc turned off the water pipes to fix the boiler.
So it seemed like a once in a generation event or something.
Yes, only when Doc shuts off his water does this become a problem.
Yeah.
Normally, as long as Doc's water is running, nothing happens.
Huh. Well, I guess it gives the Fraggle something to do.
Well, we learned that Gobo has to go through the mystical, magical maze to make the ancient hand point the finger from up to down to solve the freeze problem.
I have a fix for this, too. We'll get to it.
The Doozers are also headed into the maze where the furious Garboil lives. If you remember, we had the invisible Garboil.
Invisible one, yeah.
which for a while seems like this is maybe similar because the invisible gargoyle was represented by like just wind and noise.
That's right.
And in this, you just see like a tornado zipping
Yeah.
around
Tasmanian
until
devil style.
until later on you actually get to meet the furious gargoyle, which
Yeah.
is just a little dude.
So that one gargoyle was just invisible. That is not the natural state of all gargoyles, I suppose.
I think yes, because these seem like they'd be related, but they are different.
Yeah.
Somehow, Gobo falls out of the maze and ends up at the end of the maze, which seems to be the fuse box.
Yeah.
And he defeats the gargoyle. How do we defeat bad guys on this show?
Tickling. We
We
tickle
tickle them.
everything. Yeah.
We tickle everything. That's the only way to defeat bad guys is to tickle them.
That's interesting.
And the Doozers show up at the same time and build a new building, which is essentially a stepladder for Gobo to reach the ancient hand, which is a fuse that he flips.
I think it's fun that the Fraggles, and I guess this isn't necessarily something that happens in the puppet show. In this show, the Fraggles always ascribe what the Doozers are doing to just like those crazy Doozers. I feel like in the puppet show they're a little bit more like they're so industrious, but in this they're
Yeah.
just like they're just little weirdos who are doing stuff. But I like when he's like, "What a coincidence! This platform leads right up to where I need to go."
Which I feel like they maybe could have leaned into a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
That like the Fraggles are really dumb when it comes to
To
the
Doozer
Doozers.
stuff, yeah.
And yeah, because there's so many times in this, like especially in the flood one, when they're just like, wow, yeah, look at the Doozers having so much fun. They know how to solve everything, when really Architect is dying.
He's dying. I think the magic hand, like him flipping the hand from up to down, in actuality, it's a lever he has to pull. I think it would have been cute if Doc's hand had been in there, because you do see Doc's hand in there messing around.
Right.
And if he had been like, oh, and then he had like positioned Doc's hand differently to like hit the thing he needed to hit or like find the thing he needed to hit. I thought that's what it was going to be, but it was for some reason one step more obtuse than that.
Yeah. No, I was right there with you. I thought that's exactly what was going to happen. And then when it just was a fuse, I was like, okay, it's weird to call that an ancient hand.
Also, weird place for Doc to put all of his wiring, in a place where he has to smash the wall open to be able to get to it.
It's also weird that the Gorgs never have to deal with the cold water until the end for some reason.
Oh yeah, I think that tracked though, because they hadn't pumped it until then. Like
yes, I'm saying it's like a storytelling beat,
right?
To not have them, when you're showing that everyone has to deal with this cold water being a problem.
Yeah.
To like not show them be affected by it until the very, very end.
That's because in this show they're just the bad guys. They're not sympathetic, so they are being punished at the end of the episode. This is another one where, and then Pa's going crazy this whole episode, just like beating the shit out of Junior in the pool.
Well, because at the very end too, the Fraggles roll a giant rock onto the Gorg pool and destroy it for no good reason.
Yeah.
There was one thing about this episode that really bothered me. The Gobo gets a bunch of random shit to take with him, like a toothbrush and a round thing and a safety
like
pin.
A pot lid or something, yeah.
Yeah, and they make a big deal about the round thing, and he forgot the round thing. What's it going to happen? Nothing is the answer.
That's a good point. I never thought of that.
It doesn't matter at all.
No.
Like, all it does is it makes what the other Fraggles go up to the trash heap to figure out,
and roll the boulder.
Which also doesn't matter at all.
The other two things he has are extremely important. So yeah, you're right. They just forgot. I think they forgot.
Gobo forgot. They forgot.
The
everyone
people writing
forgot
the episode forgot
about the round thing.
Yeah.
The next one is Laundry Never Lies from November 7th, 1987. This is the one that was partially written by Kathy Mullen, the performer behind Moki. And yeah, Red and Moki go out for a hike. Red falls, drops most of her stuff into a river, including her red sweater.
Stuff. Yeah.
And we learn that Boober has Sherlock-like powers where he can read people's laundry and know what they've been up to.
I loved this.
I like that as a concept.
Yeah. I think that's a great superpower for Boober to have. Such a boring... Like, if you think about it, Boober has the most superpowers of all the Fraggles. He's got the good nose. Now he has the Sherlock thing. He has an alternate identity hiding inside of him.
Yeah.
He's more responsible than the rest, which is kind of a superpower, occasionally, and a disability in some ways too. But he Yeah, I think this would have been a good episode of the show. I still maintain that this would have been a good episode of the show. Even just using that concept of Boober being able to tell someone's fate from their laundry, maybe maybe he could start, because they are lined up to like get their
Mm-hmm.
for him to tell them what they had done all day, which I guess is more a parlor trick than anything. But yeah, some extension of that I think would be fun.
Yeah, maybe they could find a few more like useful ways to like
Right.
use his power.
Yeah, because
Because
usually it's like, where have I been? I know, but I'm
yeah,
asking you if you
you
know.
tell me where I've been today.
But to be a bloodhound, like that's useful because Fraggles get lost all the dang time.
Mm-hmm. But it might be interesting if they were maybe, I don't know, if it was actually something where they were in peril and Gobo came to Boober to ask
Yeah,
him to help them,
I
as
guess it
opposed
is
to
kind of funny that they are not in trouble, and
no. And
yeah,
Boober's the only one who thinks they are because
hmm
he misuses his power.
they're not in trouble, and also the boys don't get in trouble when they go on their adventure either. So nobody's in
Not
trouble the
really.
entire episode.
No. Which, yeah, it would have been maybe, again, if they had more time.
Yeah,
Like if Moki and Red ended up having to save the boys,
right.
maybe would have worked out and been a little bit more interesting. But
Yeah,
yeah, Boober says something terrible must have happened to Red, and so they have to retrace all the steps that the sweater took. And they run into a poison cackler and assume that Red must have been killed by the poison cackler.
yeah. I do like that they've
Uh,
maintained the severity of the poison cackler.
well, and it becomes a very, in the puppet version, this would become a very serious, sad moment because this show is not that.
Yeah,
It
you're
tries to do that a little bit, but it's
Yeah.
like it didn't give you the tonal shift is
No.
too dramatic, too fast because they go back to the cave and they're all like crying and sad. And Gobo's like, we have to be strong to tell Moki the bad news. And he walks in and says, Moki, it's Red. She's dead. And Moki goes, Red? And he's like, no, dead. And she's like, dead?
Yeah, why do
And
they
who's
do
in the
that?
hammock over here? I don't know. Because they couldn't let it be too serious.
Yeah, they had to make a little joke.
They have to show you that there's no way Moki believes Red is dead.
I mean, even Gobo, Wimbley, and Boober, they're crying, but they're still kind of like, meh, life's cheap in Fraggle Rock.
Poison Cackler eats like 2 of us a week. But yeah, that episode just ends there where they find Red sleeping in her hammock in her room and she's fine.
And they start screaming at Boober. Boober didn't know.
Yeah. No. But what Boober does know, or what Boober's nose knows, is the next half of this episode. And it's not quite the same use of Boober's nose as we got in the puppet show where he has this scent superpower.
And he
This
can
is
detect
just
poison.
he can
or
smell
something.
Sweetwater a little bit.
Well, he's got the best nose in Fraggle Rock still, I would say, because the rest of them don't seem to be able to detect it at all. But
Yes, but I don't know that that is that helpful in this episode where they have a map.
Yep. As you were saying it, I was like, oh yeah, they know where the Sweetwater is, so I guess it's not a big deal.
Maybe this is the first one to be able to tell that like there is no Sweetwater, and then also when they get closer, he's like, "Aha! It's on the other side of this door." But they're gonna go get Sweetwater. Boober is stoked because not only can he smell it, he also seems to love it.
He likes to bake. Well, it's booze, maybe. Is it booze? I guess it's not quite booze. It's still fermenting by the time they crack it.
Yeah. But if it doesn't get to ferment for more than like 5 minutes before they get it. I think the Gorgs are trying to make booze.
Yes, definitely.
But they've never successfully been able to make booze.
No.
Sweetwater Lake dries up. The Gorgs are picking their yum berries for their yum berry juice, which they put in barrels, and it always mysteriously disappears. So they put Junior in charge of protecting the yum berries.
Protect the yum berries from the yum grablins.
Yeah.
Some fun words in this episode.
Yum grablins.
The yum grablins.
Well, the world's oldest Fraggle calls a meeting to announce the Sweetwater has dried up, but he tells everyone that to return the Sweetwater, one must journey to the Cavern of Darkness to pull the big round blocker. Obviously, it's the Gorg's Yumberry juice. We get it.
And that's what they do, and then nobody learns anything, and the episode's over. That's basically it.
I hated that one.
I don't know. This one I don't know how you fix because it is just them being selfish, like we've already talked about before. Like there is no exchange of
Right.
any information or anything like that. And the Gorgs
Yeah,
aren't
like it
being
works if
mean. The Gorgs are trying to make wine for themselves. They're not taking anything away.
yeah, they're just mice eating your groceries at this point.
And
Like the Gorgs are just buying groceries and then the Fraggles come in and eat all their groceries.
also, this is just a luxury item. They don't actually need the sweet water. They just like it. So they're
Yeah.
being real jerks of this episode. Because I was thinking like the littles that show the littles, or like the whatever that's
Like a
actually like
borrower's
the
situation.
borrowers, the littles,
Yeah.
all those different shows. That's similar. They're just mice, but they need to steal the stuff, and it's scary for them to steal the stuff. But these guys are just
Yes.
fucking around down there.
Then we got on November 14th, 1987, Moki's Flood of Creativity. This is the weird 2-part episode where the second half is what the Doozers did, which is
I'm so baffled by this.
I think this is something that they could have done more often, and it could have been interesting.
Yeah, a Doozer
But
half and a
this,
Fraggle half, or a Fraggle half and a Gorg half. That's the show. This makes sense. That's the angle of the
yeah.
show that makes it different than the puppet show, and you can do interesting stuff with it.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea, but not interesting in its execution in this one. I think the Doozer episode doesn't go far enough to overlap with the first episode.
Yeah.
To make it worth doing.
I think the Doozer episode is genuinely the strongest episode of the entire series, I would say. But like to me,
because the Doozers themselves are more interesting.
Yeah. This one was the easiest for me to watch, and the one where there actually is a lesson, and Cotterpin continues to be an interesting character. Like she is done well in this show. But yeah, it's confusing to me why they didn't just mush them together into a 22-minute long episode, I guess.
Yeah. But this is the one that feels like it should have come before the other Pipe Banger episode because Pa's taking a bath and Junior has to get him more water, which means the Fraggle Pond dries up and they have to call in the Pipe Bangers.
Yeah.
And so we get their whole song and the whole concept.
We started out the same way with Red diving into the pool and the pool drying up before she lands in it too. So that it does it in that episode, it does it in this episode. So then when the next episode started and the same thing happened, I didn't assume that it was the continuation of that episode, because it just seemed like they're just doing the same setup again. So it took me a little while to catch on that that Wembley is still not just idly asking, where do you think this water comes from? But that was the same exact moment, actually.
Why do you think Sprocket has fleas in this episode?
Has he had fleas in the... Why? What do you mean? What's your angle here?
It just makes it it makes it seem like it's really important.
In the episode, why does he have fleas?
Like Doc keeps trying to get Sprocket to wear his flea collar.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand what was going on with Sprocket at the end of this episode anyway, where he's like trying to keep the water. He's doing something with the pipes.
He's holding the pipes like together. And so it feels like something that they would have maybe paid off or fixed in the second half, but they never go back to Sprocket, so we assume he's just still there.
Does
holding
he use
the pipes
his flea
together.
collar for any of that? Or
no, when he's holding the pipes together, that's when Doc uses that as the moment to be like, haha, well, I bet you want to wear your flea collar now, because he can't scratch while he's holding the pipes. But like, Doc, you're not solving the problem here.
That's pipes busting is a bigger issue than your dog having fleas. You're not prioritizing.
He uses that moment to put the collar on Sprocket because he's like, aha, you can't fight it now.
I don't know why they did that. Just as a fun joke, I guess.
But there are moments that do have a little bit of payoff later on that at the beginning just seem weird, because when Red is diving, she breaks a Doozer building that's in the water, and you're like, wow, that's a little rude. And then...
Yeah. Is this the episode where the whole bridge collapses to the Doozer Dome?
Yeah.
That's the next one. Does that ever come up again?
No, it's just something that shows the impact that the Fraggles can have on the Doozers.
Yeah, they destroy the whole bridge leading to the Doozer Dome. Maybe the implication is that's why they can't evacuate where the flooding is, but I feel like they don't mention that. But yes, it seems very like disastrous, and a whole car of Doozers almost falls off of the bridge. The Fraggles are really much more of a hazard to the Doozers in this show.
Yeah,
Things
they're a
seem more
menace.
life or death.
Well, yeah, we talked about how the next pipe banging requires a ceremony because it's the flabillionth pipe banging.
Right.
So Moki writes the longest poem in the world to read, and apparently the rule is that the pipe bangers have to bang on the pipes as long as she
The
is
whole
reading this
time.
poem, I guess.
Sure.
So yeah, this causes them to keep banging, which causes Doc to keep turning the nozzle, which causes a flood for both the Doozers and the Gorgs. And this is when Moki decides maybe reading the poem backwards will help, but instead she just shoves the paper in the pipe, which
Yeah, I didn't
causes
understand that either.
it causes the water to back up in Doc's workshop, which is what causes Sprocket to have to hold the pipes together.
Simultaneously, the Gorgs are pumping all the water out of Fraggle Rock too. So
Yes. I did like there's a moment, I think, with the architect or somebody at the end of the episode where they're talking to Moki, where they're like, thanks to you, Moki, we're safe from the flood. But you did also cause the flood in the first
I
place.
like that too. Yeah, that was fun.
They're like, not going to let you feel too good about this
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, that would have been a good ending on a regular episode of Fraggle Rock, where she's like feeling very proud of herself, and they're
I
like,
did it.
have lest we forget.
And yeah, the second half is what the Doozers did from their point of view, where we see way too naked of Doozers.
Everybody's naked doing cartwheels. Don't do a naked cartwheel, please.
That's a lesson for everyone. No one should be doing naked cartwheels.
And I feel like people will be like, "Oh, you're overstating this." I really don't think we are. You can see their pecs, you can see their middle ab line, you can see their belly buttons, you can see
I was
definition.
watching this episode on my laptop yesterday on the couch.
Yeah.
And my wife, who had been sitting next to me for a while, had not particularly noticed or said anything about the show that she saw out of the corner of her eye. The moment they popped up, she just said, they're too naked.
Yeah.
The one and only comment that my wife had about this show was those Doozers are too naked.
Yeah, it was troubling. A troubling moment. We've found the naked Doozers to be troubling before. So
yes,
there's just an issue to solve there that they never got around to solving with the naked Doozers.
They want them to be casual when they go back to the Doozer Dome, which I will say, the Doozer Dome looks amazing in this.
The Doozer Dome, the Doozers continue to be like the thing that they really knocked out of the park in most respects, aside from the character design. But even when they have clothes
one
on,
really big thing that they keep forgetting to solve, and it's them being really, really naked.
When they have clothes on, they look cute. Their little hats are kind of like perched jauntily on their heads, and
an architect only wearing a visor is worse.
It's
when he's all naked but still wears a visor, so we know which character he is.
Yeah,
that's worse.
Not good. But yeah, the Doozer Dome looks badass of this. I agree.
Yeah, we get like a full, big, tracking shot down the entire height of the Doozer Dome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one just felt very true to the spirit of the show to me. The Doozers would indeed be pissed that she was making boats.
Yeah, Architect demotes Cotterpin to rivet catcher because she won't trash her boat plans.
Yeah. Architect seems a little aggro in this episode, I think.
He's a little bit of a climate change denier, I think, really, is what's happening here. Yeah. He's like, yeah, the water level's rising. Big deal. Until he almost drowns and Wembley needs to save him accidentally.
That part is so funny because he's just standing there watching the water rise so quickly, and he's like, "Fuck you!" as the boat drives away.
No, they try. The funnier part of that is they drive up and Cotterpin's like, "Jump! I'll catch you!" And he just goes right in the water.
Yeah,
it's like, oh shit!
It's really good.
Yeah. But yeah, again, not incredibly interesting in execution, but a good idea.
I think if I had to put any episode of the cartoon as a canonical part of the show, this 2-part would be it, because I think it explains nicely it gives a little bit more purpose to the Fraggles for existing, and it is a nice Doozer episode. So I think if I had to pick one and say this slots in season 1 somewhere, this episode can exist. I think that would be good. Well, I guess it has to be after Cotterpin becomes the architect assistant, but
right. She goes through her ceremony.
We should have pinpointed exactly where this would have fit into the show.
I feel like that's a fool's errand there, Sam.
I think it would be easy. I think it's probably it's after Cotterpin becomes architect assistant and before Matt gets home to stay. Somewhere in there, I think.
I mean, I think one of the bigger issues with the show is that there is no character growth whatsoever.
That's true.
For anyone.
Right.
No one ever learns anything or uses that knowledge later on.
Yeah. So it's before anybody becomes friends with Cotterpin too.
Mhm.
That would narrow it down even more.
Yeah. Well, the next episode is Red's Drippy Dilemma from November 21st. This is the one when Red is planning her water extravaganza, but a rock falls on a pipe, cracks it, and she's like, I'll get to
No
it.
big
Don't
deal.
worry about it, guys.
No big deal. Not that bad of a leak, really. She's right.
Yeah, it just seems to be the sound is what's more annoying to everyone.
Yeah.
Because it makes the pucka 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 squeedly boink noise.
No, it doesn't.
No.
It just doesn't, but
It just doesn't. But everyone needs to argue about that so they can sing the song from the episode about Wembley's wonderful whoopee water.
Yeah, so they can use up the first 5 to 6 minutes of the episode, and then they can resolve the plot.
I also, I love how that whole first section of the episode is Red being like, I'll get to it, guys. I just got to rehearse first. And then it cuts to middle of the night. And it's like, oh, so everyone just went to sleep. Red didn't even think about it, fixing it after she rehearsed.
Yeah.
It's not that she just actively chose to go to bed instead.
Really, the issue is that the problem is so small and easily fixed that that it's annoying at the end that she didn't do it. And not in the way that they intended, probably. It's more just like, she could have had to replace a pipe, and then it would be a whole thing. Like, the pool could have been out of service if she had to go through with the repairs. The pool would have been out of service for her thing, so she couldn't do that. She had to let it ride a little bit or something like that.
Yeah, if it took, a day for something to be fixed, or she had to go somewhere
or she didn't
else
even know
besides
how to fix it. Yeah.
Yeah, but instead she has to walk 2 feet over from where she is
Yeah.
and go flip.
Yeah.
And I think her temporary fix of tying moss around it takes longer than the actual fix.
Actually doing it. You're right.
Which also doesn't fix it.
No, because it's still dripping at the end of the episode.
There's an ominous drip at the end.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting. I don't know what the intention was.
I don't like it as a character beat because it's the only reason she chooses to fix it.
Uh-huh.
I did like it in the episode because it made it more interesting. That the dripping as it speeds up throws off everyone's rhythm during the water extravaganza. And so they can't stay on beat. And so they all go swim too fast or jump too fast or get off beat. And so this actually does end up ruining Red's thing that she's been putting off fixing it for.
Right. I think this is another one where I can picture this as an episode of the original show with the drip driving everybody crazy. I think would have been
just and it makes sense for Red's character.
Mm-hmm. Seeing how all the different Fraggles go crazy in their own different ways, I think would have been fun.
Boober would have gone a lot more crazy in the puppet version.
Yeah, Boober's got the edges really sanded off of him in the show, but he would have gone Colonel Kurtz or whatever. Yeah.
Then the second half of that episode is Fraggle Babble, which is the one where Moki's the best poet in the world, so she gets to take care of the dictionary of Fraggle Babble and is able to add words. And her first one she adds is a real word, which is spontoon.
Oh, yeah. What? That is a real word, right?
Yeah, it's like a soldier spear. Like a old-timey, we don't have guns yet, but we need to stab each other thing.
Yes. An espontoon, or a half-pike, a European polearm. Oh, okay.
So obviously not necessarily a word that the Fraggles would hopefully know.
I wonder if it's a word they thought they made up and they accidentally made up a real word. Like the people writing the episode.
Right. Like they were just like, that's a weird noise. Pontoon? All right, well, spontoon must not be a word. Yeah. And we don't have the internet to check. So
that's true, they didn't.
And no one else has the internet to call us out on it.
And the dictionary is across the room, but I'm not going to walk all the way over there and look it up.
Yeah. But then she learns from Wembley that he uses the word Wembletonic, which is the state of frustration that Wembley reaches when he can't decide something, even though later on they won't use that when there's an entire episode about this.
That deeply bothered me. And also they just call that Wembling. I feel like it doesn't need an extra word.
Well, and later on we'll call it Wemblyosis.
Yeah.
Which is different.
Really missed opportunity. Yeah.
Don't even don't even get to live with your own canon that you created 2 episodes previous.
Well, they'd have to talk to each other for that.
This is the episode where they reference Uncle Traveling Matt in outer space, and Moki and Gobo seem to notice the music in this one.
Right.
And Moki decides, you know what? I want all the Fraggles to contribute to the dictionary instead of just me, which is, one of those things where in the puppet version, I feel like World's Oldest Fraggle would have tried to run Moki out of town if she had tried to go against Fraggle law.
Right.
But in this, it's like, oh, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah. I mean, it would have gone equally as bad in the old show. I think the World's Oldest Fraggle would just be like, yeah, whatever. I don't really care.
It's just interesting to introduce a rule if you're immediately going to break it and nothing happens.
Right.
Like, you didn't need to say only she is allowed to add or not add words to the dictionary.
We're learning a lesson about why slang is bad, Matt. That's the point of this episode. You open the door a little bit to it and it ruins everything. And that's what the World's Oldest Fraggle learned.
Well, Moki has a line of Fraggles who want to add words, and they add things like radwitch, which is a radish sandwich.
Yeah.
Hiccup gets accidentally added because Fraggle hiccups when they want to say their word, and Moki's like, good idea. And he's like, no, that's not my word.
And then Boober shoves him out of the way. He's like, it's my turn now.
Yeah. And Boober charges in saying, radish.
Yeah. Idiot.
And they're like, that's definitely a word. And it's because he's there to ask for radishes because Moki has forgot that she has another job, which is to collect radishes for the Fraggles.
They do really hit the we all have jobs thing pretty hard in this series, which I think is an interesting takeaway. It does feel like they read the series Bible that starts off with all the Fraggles have different jobs they have to do. And then that's something that when you watch the show is a background element of it that just is a flavor, but in this it's really important.
Yeah, especially in the Drippy Dilemma one, a big part of that is Red is it's my job to take care of the pond.
Right.
So I have to be the one to fix the pipe. Even though you're all offering to help, I can't allow that.
And I kind of like it, but it kind of also is like a crutch, and it makes the characters a little bit flatter, I guess, too.
Right, whereas I feel like the puppet version in the Drippy Dilemma one maybe would have given a better reason that Red is so determined to be the one to fix it.
Yeah, right.
As opposed to just being stubborn.
Yeah.
Well, Moki decides to call radishes kerplunker zeebies from now on, which makes Boober really mad, and he walks away. He's got no time for this bullshit.
Yeah.
So Moki decides to go get Convincing John to convince people to use her words.
Yes, this is a very Moki move. I like megalomaniacal Moki.
I mean, she basically did this.
Yes, that's true.
But not about words.
To start her own cult or something? What did she do? I don't quite remember. There was buttons with her face on them or something, though.
It's from the episode where Moki is trying to convince the Fraggles to stop eating doozer constructions because she thinks that this is actually a bad thing that the doozers don't want.
Okay.
And so, much in the same way, it does come back to bite her, because in that one we learn that doozers actually need the Fraggles to eat their constructions. Yeah. And so in the same way, she has to use Convincing John to reverse what she's done.
Yeah.
But in this one, it's about slang and trying to get the Fraggles to use her new fun words for things.
Right.
And I gotta say, this Convincing John, too normal.
He is very normal. He doesn't have the Jim Henson's unhinged aspect to him.
He doesn't sound like he's actively losing his mind while he's singing, which is a problem.
Yes, because that's the thing that convinces you. It's this guy believes it so much, it's got to be true. Yeah. Look at him out there.
He might kill me if I don't listen to him.
Yeah. Instead, he's just like, hey, guys, we should really be using the new language. See you later.
Yeah, I don't... The sort of evangelical side of Convincing John is sanded off.
And he doesn't even look crazy or anything.
No, he just kind of looks like a dude.
Yeah, he needs to be a little like a rabid dog. Look in his eyes, a little bit nasty too.
Well, obviously, this starts to become a problem. Moki can't keep up with all the new language because even the other Fraggles that are using the new babbly languages don't understand each other at times.
Yep.
It gets them into trouble with the Gorgs, and really it just all unravels, and Moki reverses it with Convincing John.
Yeah, and I just can't shake that there's something deeply problematic about this episode.
It does feel like there's something at the root of this that
Yeah.
is not great.
Not from a nice place.
Yeah, it's not explicit, but does feel like something darker is happening underneath the surface.
Yeah. Not what you want out of your children's cartoon.
Or maybe at the time they did.
Actually, yeah, you're probably right.
Well, the second to last episode is from November 28th, 1987. The Radish Fairy is the first half, where Red wants to put on a Radish Fairy play that seems like a very Christmas story
They've
type
got the
of
three
play.
wise men and everything, and they're like, hark, an angel. Yeah. I like
Which I
that.
like a little bit because like we did see them trying to put on plays.
Uh-huh.
I think at one point in the original series.
We did a couple times. There's a couple
Yeah.
play-based episodes.
And I like this like bad acting reading off of their script, forgetting their lines thing happening. All of that was fine.
You could also see like a Christmas card or something washing down the sewer and them finding it and seeing the three wise men and being like, what's this? That must be where radishes come from somehow.
They think the baby Jesus is a radish.
Or like a radish, like maybe like a sticker from a radish from a grocery store gets stuck to it on the way down or something. And in the manger, there's just a radish. And they're like,
It's a nativity scene with a sticker of a radish in the middle.
Over baby Jesus. Yeah.
And that's how they originally came to worship radishes as Fraggles.
That's it. Yeah.
I like this
I think
much better
that's
than
good.
what I'm about to describe actually happens. They just need to go get a big radish because they broke the big one.
They broke their radish.
And so they go to get it and get caught in a...
They talk about radishes so much in this cartoon. They also really leaned into the radish thing. The jobs, the radishes. I'm sick of hearing about radishes.
Well, I'm sorry for what's about to happen because we're going to talk about radishes a lot more because they get trapped in a Gorg Fraggle trap. And so they go to try to rescue them and Red gets stuck in the trap too. But then they just easily escape as Junior's about to get to them.
Well, they hoist her up. Boop, 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 and she frees them. Yeah.
There's just moments where they set up peril and then they're like, oh, and then we just
every single moment in this for sure.
But Red falls out of the tree and gets stuck and Junior thinks she's the real Radish Fairy. And so she goes, well, okay, then give all your radishes to the Fraggles.
Yeah.
And there's one truly sinister moment in here from Red Fraggle.
What does she do?
Junior is like, well, I don't know. We're not supposed to give things to the Fraggles. And she goes, well, how do you Gorgs feel about radish famines?
Oh,
and he says, would you do that to us? And she goes, I sure would.
Absolutely.
To teach you that you should not hate Fraggles. So Ma and Pa think Junior has radish fever because he's trying to give all the radishes away to the Fraggles.
And they're going to tie him up. Crazy. This part's crazy.
This is crazy because they think he needs to be tied up. And so they go down to the cellar to get a rope. And he locks them in the cellar. He has
actually gone crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the episode, he has forgotten that they're down in the cellar, basically. And they just suddenly erupt out of the ground. Yeah, at the end of the episode, they're just like, poosh, out of the ground. And he's like, you dug your way out of the cellar.
But the problem here is that Junior's giving all of the radishes to the Fraggles, which overloads Fraggle Rock. And my favorite moment of this episode is Gobo trying to solve the problem. Because he stands up and he's like, well, we could try this. Or we could just rename this place Radish Rock.
Yes, great problem solving.
One of the solutions is just to give in and rename the place.
And that's a moment that would have made sense for the world's oldest Fraggle to have said in the show.
Yeah.
But not for Gobo.
No, it
They're
seems
proactive.
Yes, it seems way too passive and like Gobo is just giving up entirely.
Yeah.
But yes, it is just solved by Red going back up, pretending to be the fairy again and being like, please stop. And Junior says, oh, okay, that's fine.
You know what she should have said, though? Throw like 4 radishes down here like every week or something, you know?
Yeah. Should have made it easier on Moki.
Yeah.
Like we no longer have to go up there.
Yeah.
Well, the second half of that episode is the funniest joke in the universe, which we dive headfirst into. Wembley just yells at the beginning, we should have a joke contest. And then suddenly we're singing a song.
Yep. The joke song. We've heard this song before, I think, right?
Yeah, there was a Joke Day episode of Fraggle Rock that this was in.
Right.
But Boober is sad at the end of the song because he doesn't get the jokes, which in that song, they're also nonsense jokes that mean nothing.
Yeah.
So that's fine, Boober.
Someone needs to explain that to him. He doesn't get anti-humor, anti-comedy.
But yeah, the beginning of this episode is very weirdly structured.
Because then they're just like, go see the storyteller for some reason. And he's like, all right.
Yeah, I think because they basically saying you don't get humor, go ask the storyteller for a funny story, and maybe now you'll understand what's funny. But instead, he goes there and finds a scroll that says danger, handle with care. And this turns out to be the funniest joke in the universe, but Boober doesn't get it. And Gobo rightfully is like, well, we should probably put this back before anything bad happens.
I think it would have been funny if I can see in the puppet version them doing something like this, but Boober really wants to be a stand-up comedian and he's trying to do like his tight five in front of everybody and they have like some kind of brick wall stand in or something and he's like, nobody likes my jokes. And then he has to go like find the forbidden joke. I think that
So really, this is just Joker.
Yes, exactly. I was thinking there was a moment in this episode or something where I was thinking about Joker. Maybe it's just because of the uncontrollable laughter and
yeah. Just Joker with Boober. I'd watch that.
Joker with Boober. It's called Boober.
It's called Boober. Folia Boober.
Yeah. The Fraggles sing all the time. Nobody would have been thrown off if the Fraggles were singing.
Yeah, they wouldn't be shocked that it was a musical.
And Lady Gaga could still have been in it.
Yeah, she likes the Muppets.
She loves them. An episode where Lady Gaga falls down a hole and she's just in Fraggle Rock. But she's just like, hey guys, what's up?
It's just her head, though. She's upside down the whole time.
Yeah. It's like an Alice in Wonderland kind of thing where she's like looking for her cat or something. And she's just like, oh, that'd be great. That'd be awesome. She like sticks her head in a tree knot, like a tree hole. And it's just like, oh, hey, what's going on?
How would they eventually get her out, though?
Maybe she's not stuck. Maybe she just likes it down. She just like
likes it?
having fun. Yeah, she just like puts her head in that hole every now and then and sings a song with her friends. It's like a Christmas special, like Pee-wee's Christmas special where the guests just come in like haphazard fashion and they're just like, it's Lady Gaga. Hey guys.
I mean, I guess
looking for something down here in this hole.
They do have Uncle Traveling Matt kind of serves that purpose from time to time. Like he goes and hangs out with Foo Fighters.
That's right.
In Back to the Rock.
Yeah, but it would be more funny if she fell in a hole.
It would be more fun. It would also be funny just to see a celebrity pop in human like into Fraggle Rock and just accept the premise immediately. Yeah. Just be like, all right, whatever.
Just be like,
you guys want to sing?
Then stand up and be like, wow, little singing guys. Perfect.
You can be my muse. You'll write my next album for me.
Oh, no. That's a good idea, too. We've written a lot of really good episodes of Fraggle Rock in this session.
It's what happens when you get a lot of episodes of something that has the seeds of good ideas.
Yeah.
You can spin those out into better ideas.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, this episode, though, is mostly about everyone getting told the funniest joke in the universe.
Yeah, they all get the smile disease in this. The smile curse comes for all of them.
But yeah, eventually it trickles through all of them. And that's pretty much the whole episode. Yeah. So they have to go to the Well of Forgetfulness to drink some water. For some reason, Boober runs into a giant rock monster for a second.
To fill in a couple minutes, yeah.
Yeah, it's not a problem. It's just a sad crying monster. So he tells him the joke, which causes him to laugh and drop a Boober. They all drink from the well, and then Boober gets the joke finally.
Yeah.
And they have to drag him back to the well. And they literally say, uh-oh, here we go again.
Not really, though, because the well is 2 feet behind you.
Yeah.
I was also happy that Boober was like, we got to go give some water to the rock monster. Because I was worried about the rock monster laughing forever.
Yeah, he felt bad for him.
Horrid fate for him, yeah.
I mean, he was previously just buried underground, so...
Yeah. Maybe
I don't know
better.
That's... Yeah.
It's equal, at least. He was buried underground and crying forever. So I think I would rather be above ground and laughing forever than below ground and crying forever. That's a great would you rather.
People are like, why the hell did you come up with that? It's like, well, obviously because of the Fraggle Rock animated series.
Yeah.
Well, the last episode of Fraggle Rock, the animated series, aired on December 5th, 1987. The first half is Fraggle Fool's Day, where Red tricks Moki with disappearing paint. Gobo looks into a pipe and gets a black ring around his eye. And they bring a sleeping Boober over to the Deducers, who end up building around him while he's sleeping.
Yeah, that was fun.
And then Red goes too far, apparently. And her and Moki go up in a hot air balloon.
This
and
is like
throw a
the end
bunch
of, already the end of the episode.
Yeah. Nothing happened.
The craziest part was when I did like when they're like, Boober would never play a prank. And then they walk out and Boober's like, and he's like putting the stretchy soap. But the stretchy soap prank makes no sense at all. Like, first of all, if my clothes still fit the same, but were extremely stretchy and could stretch back, that would be nice. Probably. It would be useful. And also
I
the
would
way
never
that
grow
they,
out
like,
of clothes. Like,
yeah,
I could gain as much weight as I want and it wouldn't be a problem.
exactly. And the way that they like figure it out is like Red and Moki just accidentally start pulling their Moki's sweater really large, and then it brings them together, but they're also naked the whole time. And that's weird that they're naked. And then Boober comes in and they're both naked. And he's like, you got to do your little dance now. And they do their little dance where they're like flipping around and stuff. It's just like, Boober, they're naked. You shouldn't be.
But
in here
Boober's
right now.
always naked.
But Red having that sweater on means it's got to mean something. We have to have some,
like Boober's scarf is the same way.
Yeah.
Like,
we have to have some standards here.
But, in this, Moki doesn't have her like sweater under her sweater like she does later on.
Only for the first time in this one. Yeah, her turtleneck is not there.
So it is that thing where Fraggles just need one piece of clothing and we'll accept them as clothes because none of them wearing pants.
No, absolutely
Uncle
not.
Traveling Matt is the only one wearing shorts.
He wears pants. And why? Yeah. Then that makes you wonder why.
Because he has to go see humans. Humans would be like, hey, I don't know what you are, but you're not wearing pants.
Your little balls are dangling out and we don't want to see that.
Well, they go up in their makeshift hot air balloon, throw the berries at their friends, and just like real hot air balloons, they don't know how to get back down.
And just like the Wizard of Oz.
Yep.
I can't come back. I don't know how it works.
No one knows how they work. If you can tell me right now, Sam, how hot air balloons come down.
You shoot a hole in the balloon. You bring a gun.
Exactly.
Boom! Shoot a hole in it.
How do you land where you want to land?
I have no idea. I think we can't get into it right now, but I think they're just supposed to
we don't know?
I think they're supposed to go straight up and come straight back down.
I don't think that's true.
I disagree, but I have no frame of reference for that. So we're going to have to both do our research and come back and tell each other how hot air balloons
I'm pretty
work.
sure there's a lot of wind knowledge that goes into it. Like, you have to like look up
if you
the
make
wind.
me open a Wikipedia page 2 minutes and 2 hours and 21 minutes into this episode about hot. I see your little hands going, Matt. We'll talk about it on the Discord. Everybody sign up for Discord, and someone there will tell us how hot air balloons work.
Wow, that's a good call to action. If you want to know what we don't know about hot air balloons, sign up for Patreon.
And if you know, sign up for Patreon.
If you know, desperately tell us.
Yeah. Leave a review.
That'll be our next Patreon live stream. Will be us in a hot air balloon.
Oh my god! How do we get Wi-Fi?
Maybe they have Wi-Fi. Planes have Wi-Fi.
Oh, there's so much we don't know about hot air balloons.
I would go as far to say everything.
Everything
about hot air balloons we don't know.
I do know how
hot air.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the name.
Yeah,
it's balloon plus hot air.
That's literally all I know about them is that they go up. How?
Well, we have no idea if or when they come back down.
They may not come back down.
They're all still up there.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that is pretty much the end of this episode because they learn how to come back down by just grabbing melons from trees.
But are they melons or are they berries? I'm a little confused.
They call them melons.
But they're on trees and they're tiny to the gorg. So I guess the scale part of this one kind of was confusing me a little bit.
What's a berry to a gorg? If not a melon to a Fraggle.
But Fraggles do call berries generally. There is not.
This is true.
A confusion of scale like there is in this particular instance. So they could just be tiny, tiny melons. Like I wouldn't be surprised if some berry we eat all the time is actually a melon and we don't even know.
Yeah.
Right? Could be. But don't look that up either.
No. That sounds even harder to look up. That feels like something we just ask Hank the next time we see him.
Yeah. Is any berries a melon, Hank? Please tell us.
Tell us. We need to know. And the very last segment of the very last episode of Fraggle Rock, the animated series, is Wembley's trip to outer space, which is a wild name, for this episode.
Yeah, I was very disappointed because I thought Wembley was going to go on a trip to outer space.
I mean, he does briefly.
I wouldn't even call it a trip. Is it a trip if it's
No.
like a medical treatment? I don't think so.
Well, Wembley, as he has done, I think at least once or twice in the puppet version,
Yeah.
promises everyone
He's
that he's going to
overextended.
help them do everything.
Yep.
I think this happened in the first season when he meets Lou, the Fraggles, who
Oh, yeah.
she's like, "What are you doing? Why do you
Yeah.
do this? You're making your life miserable."
That's right.
Also, like the show, they turn him upside down to fix him when he's Wembling. But this time, it's not enough because he's got Wembleyiosis. And so the Ed Wynn doctor comes in, tells him that they need to scare him. Wembley wanders off through the Gorg Garden. They decide that Wembley must go to outer space to truly scare him. Doc and Sprocket, who we haven't seen in forever, it feels like, are headed out on a picnic.
Especially not Doc.
So Sprocket catches Gobo, which snaps Wembley a little bit out of his Wembleyiosis, enough to at least rescue Gobo and scare Sprocket.
And that's
the end. That's it. That's all of Fraggle Rock.
That's the whole episode. That's maybe one of the least interesting episodes of the whole series. Bad
It's
one
very
to go
true.
out on. Rough.
No, I think your note about the one they should have gone out on, which was what the Great Fraggle Freeze, I think was the one you suggested.
That would have been
like
nice.
doing a full length episode like they did with the pilot would have been a good way to go out. Like let one bigger story be your finale.
Yeah,
but they probably also didn't know this was the finale.
Probably not, and they probably had absolutely no control over in what order any of this stuff aired, as was usually the case back then.
Very, very true. But we did it, Sam. We did watch this show.
Yep. I don't regret watching it. I think no court in the land would convict us if we didn't watch it. If we hadn't watched it, I think we could have said, well, Jim probably just like looked at it in the general direction of this show once.
Yeah.
But I do feel like there's little sprinkled in moments of nice Fraggle Rock lore that to me is kind of like canon now. And I think the biggest sin was just how it treated all the main characters, which is a pretty big sin. But I don't think it nailed any of the Fraggles at all, except Red and Moki. I think they came out of it okay. But
even Moki doesn't get to dive into her most interesting parts of her personality in this.
Nah, that's true. Red must just be kind of easy to write or something. It must an irascible scamp must be.
Yeah.
A rich character to write plot lines for.
I mean, most leads in cartoons are scamps. So
that's true. Yeah.
She's got that Bart Simpson energy to her.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, there was moments during this where I definitely didn't regret watching it, but I definitely felt like, I do think we had to watch this. Like, I think it clicked for me that I was like, we had discussed maybe not having to, but it does feel like part of the things Jim Henson did with the Muppets during his lifetime. And I think we would have looked back and been like, I can't believe we skipped something.
We should have watched that. Yeah, if I have one regret about doing this show, it would definitely have been I didn't watch the cartoon Fraggle Rock. Nothing else.
No, definitely not watching Muppet Babies. Well, before we get out of here, Sam, I got to ask, what non-Muppet things did you enjoy this week?
We didn't talk about the Uncle Matt bumpers, did we? Oh, yeah, we did.
We talked about enough, yeah.
Okay. So I went to see last night, Saturday night, the Saturday Night Live movie about the making of the first episode of Saturday Night Live, which I actually didn't really... Did that just come out? Has that been out for a while? I feel like
it came out within the last couple of weeks.
Okay. I feel like it came out and nobody ever talked about it again, even though felt like there was like a lot of lead up to it.
I think there was some premieres, so reviews started coming out, but the general public have just started to get to see this movie.
Okay. So I saw that, and it's as you may know, Jim Henson is in it, played by Uncle Greg or whatever from Dynasty. I don't know any of the words. What's it called? Cousin
Succession.
Greg from Succession, whose name I don't know, obviously.
Nicholas Braun?
Somebody pointed out in the Discord that I only know fictional characters' names, which is true and probably actually true of most people, okay? But he's in it. So first of all, I'll say overall the movie, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. I think if you work even remotely in production like we do, there's going to be moments where it's like, there's absolutely no way that they didn't
Mm,
have a script for this until 2 minutes
right.
before. Like the whole thing with the Muppet characters in that is that like they don't have the pages for their script until right before they go on,
Oh.
which maybe is, I don't know. How do you write a script for very specific characters who live in a very specific setting 2 minutes before the show starts, basically?
Right, but I
You
can't
don't.
imagine that they would have put that off to the last day or
Right.
the last hour.
And I can't
Like,
imagine that, even though I know that they wrote those skits, I can't imagine that like Jim didn't have some kind of input into them, even just because there's characters with names and stuff that like you have to keep
well,
track
yeah,
of.
and I
But
think like in some Night Live sketches, you can get away with cue cards and being able to
right.
like improvise or like change lines in the
Yeah.
last minute. But like when they're doing a puppet show, like
Yeah.
you're not
Where you
going
have
to
to change
surprise
scenes
Jim.
and yeah.
Yeah.
So the thing around this movie was that in the trailers, Jim Henson looks like a goof and like
Yeah.
a loser, and it's so much worse in the movie.
Oh.
They will talk to him. He pops up maybe 4 times. They'll have
Mm.
conversations with him, and then they'll leave, and they will openly laugh at him and be like, "This fucking guy is so stupid." And the thing that really bothers me is it treats it like they didn't ask him to be on the show. There is
Right,
no
like he just
like,
showed up one day, like,
yeah,
"Hey, I brought these. Can I play with you guys?"
yeah, and that somebody was like, Jim has to be on this show, which I'm absolutely sure was not the case at all. Like they wouldn't have been on the show unless uh not Larry David, but that's the only name I can think of right now.
Lorne Michaels.
Not yeah, they wouldn't have been on the show unless Lauren Michaels invited them to be on the show, but it really treats it like Lauren Michaels fucking hates them. So it's just so much worse, and then they like get their script pages at the end and they're like, "Oh no, we have to say what?" So it's bad. It's that part of it is really like boneheaded and needlessly cruel,
Right.
which was really like, I don't know. It didn't even match the tone of the rest of the show. Or, I mean, it didn't even
Mm.
match the tone of the rest of the movie, really. Like,
It does feel like, from everything I'm hearing, and like obviously I haven't seen the movie yet, it does feel like they're just going out of their way to pick on Jim
totally.
Henson for
He
some
doesn't even
reason.
have to
Is like,
be in it. There's no point. There's like no reason for him to be there.
and like, why? It just feels weird to like pick on somebody who is just
Yeah.
universally beloved for the
Yeah,
most
and he
part.
has a he has a little monologue at the end too, where he's like yelling at Lauren a little bit, and he's like, "I know what people think when they see a grown man put their hand inside of a puppet, but I think that puppetry can be for adults." And first of all, it's like, yeah, you've been doing that. Like in reality, he'd been doing puppetry for adults since the 50s,
Been
and
20 years.
yeah, and also when he leaves the elevator after that speech is one of the times that they're like, "Can you believe this guy?" And it's just like,
But also, he's right.
yeah,
Like, they're
yeah,
all wrong if they're laughing at
they're all
that because,
being
like, he
dickheads,
literally would
but
go on to make the Muppet Show immediately afterwards.
totally, yes, he leaves SNL for much greener pastures very shortly thereafter. Yeah, so it wasn't like that good, and I didn't really have fun watching it. But then we went home and watched the first episode of Saturday Night Live, which
That's a good sequel.
yeah. So we watched that, and actually, the Muppet stuff is way funnier than I remember it being. It is
Mm.
much more polished than any of the rest of the stuff in the show, and the show is like 5 musical acts and 4 stand-up routines from the guy. Fuck. Damn it.
George Carlin.
George Carlin. And then there's like maybe scattered throughout like 5 or 6 skits from the actual like not ready for primetime players.
Right.
So then you watch that and you're kind of like, that's what was so hard to do, because a couple of them are obviously pre-recorded, and then almost everything else that's live is musical acts.
That's what I feel like. There was a recent interview where they asked like a bunch of the old Saturday Night Live guys like what it was like that first episode, and I think Chevy Chase or somebody was like, "Oh, it was fine. It wasn't that stressful. We
It
all knew
doesn't
what we
seem
were
like it
doing. We
would
were
have been.
professionals." Like,
Yeah.
like So I think like as much as I think Dan Aykroyd praised the movie recently,
Mhm.
I think for
He's
the
great.
most part,
The guy playing Dan Aykroyd is very funny because Dan's like walking around saying insane stuff about aliens and like he's like got a gun through some of the movie. So he comes
Jesus.
out of it looking like interesting and fun. And Jim Belushi too. Like they really put a lot of shine on these guys. They look like saints. I think something that was bothering me about it too was that it's kind of the opposite of what I feel like I've learned from doing this show, where the creatives in the movie are so like our vision is right and perfect and nobody's going to tell us what to do, which I'm sure is probably what it was kind of like, but it's also doesn't acknowledge that, like, it treats that creative act as like the act of a singular genius instead of like
Right.
just a collaborative effort of trying to get better and better and like build something. It's more just like everyone's trying to stop this perfect thing from being born, which is just not like how anything works.
Well, and it definitely like it's one of those biopic kind of problems where they have hindsight on their side. So,
Totally.
like
Yeah.
because we know that's been going for 50 seasons,
Yeah.
like we know that he gets proven right, but I am sure at
Right.
the time it wasn't as clear of like I am doing the honorable,
Yeah.
noble thing here. I am doing something that's going to last for 50 years.
Yeah. There's a part that's really stupid where Gilda Radner and Jim Belushi, John Belushi? Which one is it? John Belushi,
John.
right? They're
Yeah.
having a conversation where they're like, "Oh, can you imagine what it's going to be like in 20 years when we're looking back on this?" And it's just like,
Jesus.
come on. How morbid
Don't
could
do
you
that.
possibly get? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, how about you? That's my screed on the Saturday night movie.
Not a ton. My list is weird. I feel like I finished finally. We talked about this before. I finished another season of F1 races.
Oh, yeah, because you're back. You're watching the old ones.
Yeah, and like for a while there, I was watching them like constantly with like my workouts and stuff. And
Uh-huh.
I definitely, if you track how long it's taken me to watch the 2010 season, it's been a long ass time.
Mm-hmm.
But I started the
You went all the way
2011
back to
season.
2010.
I
Jesus, you have a
started in
long way.
2007, Sam.
You have a long way to go.
But I've also been watching a lot of the YouTube channel Any Austin, who does some very fun, weird video game videos.
Mm.
I came across my feed because there was a suggested video that was like, "Do the rivers in Skyrim go anywhere?"
Oh, that's fun.
And so he does a lot of videos about like the weird parts of video games. Like he'll track all of the power lines in GTA 4 to see if they're all connected properly.
Uh-huh.
If they go to a power plant or anything, he'll track all the rivers in like Tears of the Kingdom and in Skyrim and in all these different like games. And he has other things where he's just sharing like unremarkable places in games. So he'll find like a quiet corner in Mario 64 or something like that and just be like, look at this weird place. No one ever pays attention to this place, but I love it.
That's fun.
Yeah. So it's a very fun channel. He doesn't have like a ton of videos. One of the ones that's I think it's one of those things where like there's questions that I feel like I would ask sometimes while playing these games, but I would never go spend the 30 hours to record myself and figure out the answers.
Right.
But like so like the rivers ones, the power line ones, but then there's some where he tries to figure out the unemployment rate of towns in video games.
Oh, yeah.
So he will go into a town and ask every single person like what they do and figure out whether or not that person is employed or not, and then figure out the percentage of unemployed people in this town in
I
this
think I
video
saw a
game.
Pokemon one, maybe. Is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
right?
He's done a few Pokemon ones, and he'll go like each town in Pokemon, but he'll also do
Uh-huh.
that in Skyrim and Mario Sunshine and like all these games. Yeah. So it's a lot of
Cool.
fun.
That sounds
That was
great.
if you are listening, you might realize I sound a little stuffy today. I've been sick recently. I had a sick day off of work this week, and that's how I spent my sick day. Mostly was watching a lot of his videos.
Great.
Well, before we go, I gotta let Sam and everyone know what we're watching next time. Can you feel it, Sam?
I can
You feel
feel
that
them breathing.
rumble?
All their little mouths breathing down my neck.
We're traveling back in time, all the way
Ugh.
back to September of 1987. as we start season 4 of Muppet
No.
Babies.
We have to let the past die. We can't go back. We missed it.
I
We
did
missed season 4.
have a moment where I was like, well, we watched 7 episodes of this show in one
No,
week. Should
Matt,
we do
I
more
can't.
Muppet Babies?
I couldn't possibly talk about that many episodes of Muppet Babies. Is more of the issue.
Yeah. Maybe just one more. I don't know. But next time, we're only watching 3.
Okay.
We're only going to watch 3. We are watching Muppet Land,
Duh.
Water Babies,
Ew.
and The Incredible Shrinking Weirdo.
Okay. Well, okay, wait. We're supposed to guess what is going to happen in them.
Muppet Land.
Disneyland, something kind of
Feels
a
Disneyland, like a theme park.
riff. Water babies, mermaids.
Oh.
That's my guess. What do you
I
think?
was just thinking it was like bath time, and like one of them didn't want to take a bath or something, but
synchronized swimming could factor into it as well. And what's the last one? The
Incredible Shrinking Weirdo.
That one's pretty.
So
that one
Gonzo
seems self-explanatory that Gonzo will get tiny, but you really never can tell with this show.
Where's he gonna go?
Just it'll be like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but it'll be Honey, I Shrunk the Gonzo.
Yep.
And
he's gonna get almost eaten and stepped on.
He'll get stepped on almost by a giant piggy, which is something he's fantasized about several other times.
Animal's gonna pick him up and try to eat him.
Yep. Yeah, and he'll meet a bug, and he'll learn that bugs are nice.
He'll ride it.
He'll ride a bug.
That sounds pretty.
Maybe the bug will have like Rolf's face or something creepy like that.
Ooh, I hate that idea.
Like, I'm a bug.
Yeah. That's what he'd say.
Yep.
Well, we'll find out next time.
I got a song about being a bug.
Oh, no. You're right. Well, we got to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget to go to commitment.com for your commitment needs, like t-shirts and hats and Patreons. You can email us at mail@commitment.com if you have any questions, or follow this podcast on social media at commitmentpod, where you can follow me at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.